Part 67. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei-Shi Niang. Chapter 661. How is the efficiency of that factory? Director Lu asked. Zhang Chen shook his head and said, no, he won't be able to receive his retirement salary for several months. Well, it's similar to the Kuning garment factory, Director Lu said. It's not as good as that, Zhang Chen said. Are you distressed? I mean, seeing your parents like this, Director Lu asked. Zhang Chen originally wanted to say that he didn't feel bad, as his retirement salary was only a few dollars, so if he couldn't get it, he wouldn't get it, but he felt that it was too heartless to say so. Zhang Chen was hesitating when Director Lu added, of course, your parents have a son like you who can make money. It may not matter whether you can get those pensions or not. Zhang Chen felt as if someone had penetrated his thoughts and couldn't help but feel a little ashamed. He looked up at Director Lu. Director Lu didn't look at him, but was immersed in his own thoughts and said slowly. But, have you ever thought about their old colleagues and fellows, whom you called uncle and aunt since you were young? Not everyone has a son who can make money like you. They are counting on this pension to live. This pension is everything about them. Sometimes when I go to the lower counties, the comrades in the counties always complain to me, saying that most of their energy is spent on dealing with them. Director Lu looked at Mr. Nai and Secretary Bao, and continued, Old Nai and Mr. Bao, you must also have such complaints in your hearts, right? But if you think about it from others' perspective, you can understand. Don't talk about them, it's us. If there are just a few, even if I don't have a salary every month, I still can't bear it, and there will be complaints. Well, I'm going too far. Mr. Zhang, what I mean is that you should treat these retired workers as your own parents. I think this person's feelings will be different. You won't regard them as a burden. Although they are indeed a burden, both to the company and the government. My words may sound politically incorrect, but I am seeking truth from facts. Well, even if they are a burden, if you have the ability, Mr. Zhang, would you want to help them? Zhang Chen nodded. I knew Mr. Zhang had this idea, which is good. Whether it's Kuning Garment Factory, Yongcheng Instrument Factory, Factory 7 or Factory 8, many of our factories now have this status quo, but they didn't start working on it on the first day. In this way, they also have prosperous times. Why is this happening? There are complicated reasons in history. But to sum up, there are nothing more than a few points. First, there is a problem with the mechanism, which makes enterprises out of touch with the market and eliminated by the market, so we have to change the mechanism. Second, there is a problem with people. This person mainly refers to the managers of an enterprise, including those of us, are directing from above and do not understand the rules of enterprise operation. How can there be no problems? What should we do if problems arise? Then we need to cut off our blind commanding hands and the impulse to blindly command. And most importantly, we must hand over the business to those who can truly manage and operate the business. Only then can we completely solve the problem of the business. The fundamental problem is to solve the immediate problems of the workers. Workers are all good workers, they just need good leaders. Mr. Zhang, just like your mother, I understand that she has always been an advanced producer in the factory. She is such a good worker. You said she has worked hard all her life. Now that she is old, the factory she thought was her backer suddenly became unreliable. You say, is it fair to her? Of course not. There are a lot of people like this in Kuning Garment Factory. Then we who have the ability, whether it is the government or individuals, should we help them? To be honest, if the government has the ability, then we will definitely take care of them without saying a word, but the current reality, yes, the government does not have this ability, so the whole society needs to help, especially capable people like you, Mr. Zhang. These words I say are not official clichés or words in documents. They are completely my personal words. I have been to too many companies and met too many workers. This has touched me very much. I am not a professional. Cold-blooded people cannot be hard-hearted, so to be honest, when Lao Nai and Lao Bao came to talk to me about this, he felt warm in his heart and his eyes lit up. I think if we follow this path, the future of the workers at Kuning Garment Factory will be guaranteed. Really, Mr. Zhang, that's what I think. When Director Lu said this, the other three people listened quietly. Mr. Nai and Secretary Bao kept nodding. Zhang Chen also felt that there was a fire in his heart, as if it was ignited. He almost blurted out that I did it, but when the words came to his lips, he held them back. But Director Liu's words really made him unable to resist. Whether it was from a big or small aspect, Zhang Chen felt that Director Liu's words were impeccable. People kept giving you hi-hats, so you can't be too don't know how to promote. Zhang Chen is like this. If you want to slap the table, he will fight with you. If you want to lose his temper, he will become stubborn. I will not give you credit for it, but you have to be so soft and gentle with him, and you can communicate with him emotionally and rationally. This is equivalent to pinching 7 inches of him. Zhang Chen felt that he had almost no other choice but to remain silent. How about it? What Director Lu said was really from the bottom of his heart. I was moved. Mr. Zhang, please give me some attitude, Secretary Bao said. Director Lu immediately raised his hand to stop him. He said, "Hey, Lao Bao, this is a big deal. Don't force people to express their opinions. What we have to do is to do our best to create conditions and eliminate difficulties. Mr. Zhang understands people and understands people generally speaking, he can definitely see our sincerity." Director Lu turned to Zhang Chen and said to him, "Mr. Zhang, the current situation of that company, to be honest, would scare people to death, but I dare to take a stand. We will definitely find a way to overcome this difficulty together. I am not saying that this company after being annexed, we will just let it go. What I am saying here is that if you, Mr. Zhang, have any operational difficulties in the future, I, Lu Changcheng, will never shirk and go all out to help you. Right now, regarding Kuning Garment Factory, I have asked for instructions on 2 points, and I can tell you that as a government, we can do it. First, we don't let you bear old debts. Before the merger, you don't have to bear the long-term arrears of workers' wages, pensions, medical expenses, etc. Our government will find a way to solve it. Second, as an enterprise that helps the government get out of trouble, we will give you 3 years of tax relief within the scope of our local government's authority. At the same time, during the merger process, we will cover any costs involved in land and property changes, etc. reduced together. I believe that under the leadership of Mr. Zhang, Kuning Garment Factory will definitely embark on the road of takeoff. We do this in order not to tie a few pieces of iron on the wings of takeoff. This guy has to tie those wings. How come you can still fan yourself?" Director Lu said, and Mr. Nai, Secretary Bao and Zhang Chen all laughed. Director Lu looked at Zhang Chen with a questioning look and a smile. Zhang Chen really couldn't stand such a look. He lowered his head and thought for a while and said, "Okay, I will listen to Director Lu. It's not about listening to me, it's about do you have the confidence to run the Kuning Garment Factory well." Director Lu took another step closer. Zhang Chen raised his head and looked at Director Lu and said, "When I take over, I will definitely find a way to do it well." "That's right." Director Lu slapped his hands on the armrests of the chair, and both Mr. Nai and Secretary Bao laughed. Zhang Chen didn't know how he walked out of Director Liu's office. He walked out of the city government building, then walked out of the courtyard, and walked to the Xiaoli parked in the parking lot at the door. He wanted to continue walking, but Wu Zhaowei called him with a sound. He finally woke up. "It's over, it's over." Zhang Chen screamed in his heart. Almost the moment he said, "I will take over, I will find a way to do it well. Jiang Chen had already realized his impulse. Jiang Chen got into the Xiaoli car. Yesterday, after buying the Ivco from the factory, he Hung Mei became interested and decided to switch cars with Wu Xiaowai. Today, she drove the Ivco to deliver goods with Lao Wan and gave her Xiaoli to Wu Xiaowai. Wu Xiaowai drove the Xiaoli, sent Jiang Chen here. Where to go? Wu Xiaowai asked. Jiang Chen regretted going out to the store as soon as he said it. He wanted to hide in the factory, but after thinking about it, he forgot it. After such a big thing happened, do you still want to tell Xiao Zhao that you want to hide there? Jiang Chen got off the car at the door of the store, struggling in his heart, like a child who made a mistake and dared not go in when he returned to his home. Jiang Chen walked to the stairs on the first floor, as if he had lost the courage to go upstairs. Boss Jiang. Xiaoli called him, then passed him and went upstairs. Jiang Chen wanted to sit in the patio, but it was already full of people. Jiang Chen walked up step by step with difficulty. As soon as he approached the door of Xiao Zhao's office, he heard the voices of Chu Tianlin and Xiao An coming from inside. After they finished, Jiang Chen's head buzzed, like a child who had made a mistake. When I got home, it turned out that the teacher had already arrived at home. Jiang Chen wanted to turn around and leave at that time. Boss Jiang. Xiaoli walked out of Xiao's office and called him again, damn it, why do I bump into you everywhere today? Your humming mouth is so sweet. How much ice cream did you eat? Jiang Chen had no choice but to go inside. The three women inside all stopped talking, and the three pairs of eyes, like 6 knives, all stabbed at him. Jiang Chen couldn't help but tremble. They all found Jiang Chen's expression ugly, and Xiao Zhao quickly asked, what's wrong with you? Jiang Chen shook his head, looked at Xiao Zhao, and said, I agree. Xiao Zhao didn't hear what he said clearly, so he asked again, what did you say? I said I agree, Jiang Chen said. Xiao Zhao was confused. This sentence had no beginning and no end. She asked, what did you agree to? Jiang Chen felt his throat was a little dry. He swallowed a mouthful of saliva and said, I agree to merge with Kuning Garment Factory. Xiao Zhao was stunned for a moment and was stunned. Yes. What I said is that God is not as good as man, Chu Tianlin said. I knew he couldn't escape. Xiao Zhao calmed down and said, what's going on? Didn't you already tell them that we don't accept it? They're looking for me again. Okay, sit down and talk. Jiang Chen sat down, and Xiao An walked away to pour a glass of water, returned and handed it to Jiang Chen, saying to him, here, great hero. Jiang Chen took it over. Jiang Chen then told them roughly how the village director came to the factory yesterday to inform him to go to the city hall for a meeting, what happened after he went there today, including what Director Lu said. After listening, the three people were silent. After a while, Chu Tianlin sighed, looked at Xiao Zhao and said, you guys are attracting attention, and you are being targeted. Xiao Zhang just doesn't agree today, and they will look for you a second time and a third time. However, this man surnamed Lu said that if you don't let you bear old scores, you should finally show some conscience. Otherwise, these old rotten millet things will drag you to death. Chu Tianlin took the calculator on Xiao Zhao's desk, pressed it, and after finishing pressing it, she told Jiang Chen and Xiao Zhao that the monthly salary plus medical expenses for these 72 retired workers alone would cost more than 10,000 yuan. Just think that you spent hundreds of thousands of rent on that place a year. Xiao Zhao opened his eyes wide and almost cried, 100,000. Sister, we only spent 150,000 to buy the land in Sanbeo, and Jianghan district rewarded us tens of thousands. What should I do? Can he still say no now? Chu Tianlin asked. Xiao Zhao and Xiao An looked at Jiang Chen and felt that if he turned around and said no again, it would be impossible even to kill him. Okay, just think of it as a good deed. Xiao Zhang is right. Those older uncles and aunts and uncles are indeed pitiful. You are young, just think of it as helping them, Chu Tianlin said. Thank you Lao Chantang for the tip. Thank you Tianying 1978 and book friends 201805211130576778 for your monthly votes. Thank you for all the votes and reading. Good evening, everybody. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei-Shi Niang. Chapter 662. Next, the merger progressed very quickly. Zhang Chen was almost pushed away by Mr. Nai and others. Within a week, a factory-wide staff meeting was held at Kuning Garment Factory to discuss the merger of Zhejiang Benmushan Clothing Co., Limited with Hangzhou Kuning. Signing ceremony at the garment factory. On this day, almost all the workers and retired workers of Kuning Garment Factory were present. Kuning Garment Factory was so lively for the first time in several years. The reason is that Mr. Nai and Secretary Bao brought money today to settle old accounts and pay the wages and medical expenses originally owed to workers and retired workers in one lump sum after the meeting. From then on, everyone present, it has nothing to do with Erking Corporation. Erking Corporation is still responsible for supervising Zhang Chen and others' implementation of the agreement. Although by 1993, the entire society's identity recognition was completely different from the previous years. The state-run, national, large-scale collectives, streets, etc. were still so clearly divided. They were one level behind, walking. The degree of upward tilt of the chin varies from time to time. But overnight, I changed from a worker in a large collective to a worker under a private boss. Many people, especially those who are older, still feel a little unbearable. Someone started making a fuss on the spot. Director Liu also participated in today's signing ceremony. He stood up and said slowly at first that we are holding this ceremony today to find a way out for everyone. What's the way out, is to sell us to the capitalists, someone shouted. Which capitalist? Director Liu asked. In our country, there are no capitalists at all. Private enterprises are also an important supplement to our socialist economy. This is clearly stated in central documents. What you say is better than what you sing. Private enterprises are not just capitalists, they are here to exploit our working class, the man continued to shout. Director Liu smiled and said, "Hey, your hat is quite big. Come on, tell me what you have done this month, and what you have that others can exploit, tell me. I don't know your name, but I'm sure that if you didn't arrive late or leave early last month, Erking Company won't pay your salary. I, Lu Changcheng, will pay it. Come out and tell me whether you did it or not." There was silence in the venue. The man pursed his lips and stopped talking. After a while, he said, "I'm not the only one." Director Liu glanced at the people below and continued. "I am not afraid of saying ugly things, so I will tell you ugly things. Don't think that you are a treasure and are exploiting you. You know, Mr. Zhang has his own factory. The factory's business is very busy. He doesn't care whether there are people like you or not. In order to facilitate this in a factory, you know how much work old Nai and old Bao did before they agreed to take over. After being merged, according to the agreement, your right to work will be guaranteed by Mr. Zhang. However, if any of you feel that you are capable and are aggrieved by staying in this factory, you may have told the person in front that you do not want to be exploited by capitalists. Then you also have the right to leave. Let me say something ugly again. Mr. Zhang will only breathe a sigh of relief when you leave. In his heart, he only wants to protect your right to work and ensure the wages of retired workers. In this merger, the government must wear Mr. Zhang's head. The tightrope on the government is also a promise he made to the government and all workers, and he has to abide by it. Please figure this out. I don't care who owns the factory, as long as it guarantees that I get my retirement salary every month. Don't be like now, where Qian Tang doesn't care and when he doesn't take it, a retired worker shouted. Director Lu looked at Zhang Chen, and Zhang Chen said, "Whether you are working or retired, I can guarantee that your monthly salary will not be delayed for a day. If it is delayed by 1 day, you will come to me and pay it." My desk fell off. "Have you seen, is Mr. Zhang's guarantee reliable? Do you have any other opinions?" Director Lu shouted. Below, although there were still people chirping, they did not dare to object loudly. At the end of the signing ceremony, Director Lu took Mr. Nai, Secretary Bao and Director Zhao from Kuning Garment Factory to leave first. Of all the people today, Director Zhao was the happiest. He could finally leave this hellish place and go back to the company to wait. How could he not be happy because his work had been rearranged? Zhang Chen sent off Director Lu and the others, but he was not happy at all. Standing there, he felt extremely depressed. He felt as if he was back in Jiaohang again. For so many years, he had been escaping and not wanting to be Laoyang. And Feng Logui, in the end, what is the difference between myself and Feng Logui now? After the workers had received their wages, they all went home to have lunch. By the afternoon, the scene was no longer the same as in the morning. Only a dozen people came to work, and when they came, they all sat in the foyer through the workshop door and chatted. Zhang Chen walked over, but no one paid him any attention, as if they didn't know him at all, and no one regarded him as their boss. Zhang Chen walked to the workshop and took a look. It turned out that there were still a few people working in the workshop, but there was no one there. He didn't even bother to go up to the second floor. He knew it must be the same situation. Zhang Chen came out of the workshop and passed by the group of people again. Finally, someone called out, "Boss, where are you from?" Zhang Chen said. "Gualao countryman." Zhang Chen heard someone speaking in Hangzhou dialect and whispered. He didn't take it seriously and walked out. "I'll let you go, as long as you can always maintain the arrogance of your city people and continue to be hungry." Zhang Chen walked across the court and saw Lao Wan and Wu Ziyawai using saws to saw the single screw on the backboard. This was what Zhang Chen asked them to do. He was worried that he would not take over the backboard just now. He just fell down and hit someone. He was already unlucky enough, but he didn't want to encounter such unlucky things again. The screws were rusty and could not be turned with a wrench, so Lao Wan and Wu Ziyawai had no choice but to use saws to cut off the screws. Zhang Chen walked into the office building. In the first office, there were still a few people playing cards around, if for no other reason than because this was the only office in the building that had a good ceiling fan. Zhang Chen stood at the door for a while. Those people turned their heads to look at him, then turned to continue, as if they didn't know him. In fact, Zhang Chen had been coming here almost every day this week, and they had known him for a long time. "Will be the boss here, already is." Zhang Chen came here to handle the handover with factory director Zhao. There was not much to do during the handover. He just handed him the company's business license, tax registration certificate, real estate certificate, land certificate, etc., as well as the seal. Director Zhao told him that you should send someone over to check and hand over the equipment's ledger and inventory. Although Zhang Chen didn't think it was necessary, what does it matter if there are more than one of these broken sewing machines? However, he still sent Wei Venfang to go through the formalities. The factory's finance staff continues to be in charge, and there is no problem with the handover of accounts. There are still 375 yuan and 35 cents in the account. Director Zhao told him that since I came here as the director of the factory, there has never been any financial problems. If it exceeds 3,000 yuan, you can check the account. When Director Zhao said this, he had a provocative tone. Zhang Chen almost punched him, cursing in his mind, "Damn you, a factory director, for turning the factory into such a horrible state, and yet you still act like you're doing nothing." Guanji's appearance, this kind of person really deserves a beating. Of course, the accounts had to be checked, but instead of checking factory director Zhao, they were checking accounts receivable and payable. As a result, the amount payable was more than 12,000 yuan more than the amount receivable, which was another extra expense. Zhang Chen felt that the longer he stayed in this ghost place, the more aggrieved he felt. Chu Tianlin was right, she was just trying to show off her talent, and that was why she had caused such trouble for herself. Zhang Chen walked to Director Zhao's office, which was now his office. Wei Wenfang and He Hongmei were helping him clean. The door of the finance room opposite the factory director's office was also open. When the cashier Zhao Jingjing saw him coming in, she raised her head and called out to Director Zhang. She was one of the only two people in the whole factory who paid attention to him, and the other one was her. Opposite accountant Li, who had been on sick leave for a long time, Zhao Jingjing told him that he was actually working in another unit. He also worked as an accountant for several units, and this has now become his part-time job. Accountant Li appeared briefly in the morning, but disappeared again in the afternoon. When Zhao Jingjing saw Zhang Chen watching her work, she explained to him that the money distributed in the morning had been sorted out and handed over to working company. Zhang Chen said yes, thank you for your hard work. Zhang Chen turned around and was about to come out. Zhao Jingjing stopped him and asked him, do you want to give you the key to the factory gate? Every day in this factory, Zhao Jingjing opens the door in the morning and she is also responsible for closing the door. It's better that you persist a little longer, Zhang Chen said. I'll give you one, Director Zhang, just in case you come in at night or something, Zhao Jingjing said and took out a key from the drawer. Zhang Chen agreed and took it. Such a big factory doesn't even have a reception room, which shows how miserable it is. Even thieves are not willing to patronize it. Zhang Chen walked back to the factory director's office. He Hongmei saw him and said with a wry smile, Master, this place is too shabby, almost the same as before liberation. Zhang Chen rolled his eyes at her and cursed, it seems like you have experienced before liberation. I've seen it in movies. What's the difference between here and before liberation? Zhang Chen ignored her and walked out. He walked to the first office. People inside were still playing cards, and Zhang Chen walked in. What are you playing for? Red 5 or double dunk? Zhang Chen asked. The room suddenly became quiet, and the movements of several people's hands slowed down. After a while, someone said, Red 5. Can you let me play for a while? Zhang Chen asked. One person stood up, and when he stood up, he took away a few cents in front of him. After sitting down, Zhang Chen discovered that during the meeting in the morning, the guy who liked to call himself the working class was also there. How many are here? Zhang Chen asked. 1 or 2 cents, someone said. Zhang Chen shouted, Wei Wenfang. Wei Wenfang ran over, and He Hongmei also followed. Wei Wenfang asked, Mr. Zhang, what's the matter? Did you bring any money? Zhang Chen asked. Wei Wenfang shook his head. I have some in my car. I want to buy them for breakfast, He Hongmei said. Go get it for me. He Hongmei walked out and came back after a while, taking a stack of 12.50 cents and placing it in front of Zhang Chen. Zhang Chen and others said, come on, just follow your rules. After playing for more than an hour, almost all the money in front of the others went to Zhang Chen. Zhang Chen put down the cards in his hands and told those people that you are not good at playing cards. Your card skills are too bad. From tomorrow on, if any of you still can, if you want to play cards in the factory while working, come and play with me. However, we play cards for $10 and $20, otherwise it's not worth wasting your time. Zhang Chen stood up and walked out without even taking the money in front of him. Zhang Chen walked outside to the court and saw that Lao Wan and Wu Zayawai had already removed the backboard. Zhang Chen and Lao Wan said, bring the maintenance team over tomorrow and replace all the broken lights first. Also, replace the ceiling fan in the foyer over the workshop. It's so hot with so many people crowded together chatting. Laowan said yes. Thank you to user 229790848, book friend 20180722131714214214, and monthly votes. Thanks for all the reading and votes. I wish you all a happy mood. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei-Shi Niang. Chapter 663. In the evening, Zhang Chen finished dinner at Xiao Zhao's place and rode a bicycle to Kuning Garment Factory. While eating, Xiao Zhao saw him looking unhappy and asked him, "What's wrong with you?" Zhang Chen smiled and said it was nothing. "Is everything going well there?" Xiao Zhao asked. What she was talking about was Kuning Garment Factory. They rarely talked about it in the past 2 days, and when they did, they were cautious. Xiao Zhao knew in his heart that Zhang Chen didn't want to talk, and she also knew that he already had some regrets in his heart, but Xiao Zhao couldn't ask any more questions. Zhang Chen, when he is worried, likes to shut himself in an iron box like a sardine, close the door and become a can. The sound of someone knocking on the iron sheet will also make him upset. He can only wait until he opened the door himself. Xiao Zhao was waiting for him to open the door. Zhang Chen smiled and said, "Not bad." Xiao Zhao stretched out his hand to shake Zhang Chen's hand. When the two hands touched, Zhang Chen retracted and said, "I'll go down and have a look." Xiao Zhao said yes. Zhang Chen stood up and walked out of the door. Xiao Zhao looked at his back and sighed. Zhang Chen walked downstairs, but did not stop in the shop. He walked out of the door, walked to his bicycle, unlocked it and rode on it. He seemed to be wandering aimlessly on the street, but it didn't take long. Just wandered here. Zhang Chen touched his pocket and found the key to the iron door in his pocket. He smiled bitterly and sighed. Well, just worry, all the worries are gone. There is no one in here now, you can go in. Zhang Chen opened the locked iron door, pushed the cart in, then turned around and closed the door again. The half of the 2 basketball courts next to the factory building is already immersed in the shadow of the factory building, while the other half is covered with orange-red sunset. Zhang Chen rode his bicycle, going round and round between the light and the shadow, thinking to himself that there was still something to gain. In the evening when he was a child, a group of them took basketballs to the basketball court on the dirt floor of the school. And often couldn't get the venue, which was occupied by the senior students. They had to wait until it was getting dark and the senior students left to go home, then they could hurriedly come on the court and play for a few minutes to enjoy themselves. Now, I actually have 2 basketball courts. Although there is no backboard on the 4 concrete baskets, a court without backboards is still a court. I can play as long as I want. Zhang Chen got off his bicycle and ran on the court, dribbling, passing people, and 3-step layups. After a while, he was out of breath and sweating profusely. Zhang Chen walked aside, climbed up to the concrete stand, and sat down in the shadow of the factory building. The concrete stand was still burning his buttocks, so Zhang Chen simply took off his shirt, put it under his buttocks, and sat shirtless. The noise of Stadium Road in front, separated by an office building and halfway through the stadium, is already a bit distant. The Hangcheng oil refinery next door seems to be undergoing extensive construction work. There are pile drivers, which keep making dull bang, bang sounds. Every time there was a bang, the cement stand under my butt shook slightly. Zhang Chen took out the mobile phone in his pocket, and even though he knew he couldn't get through, he still dialed Lu Ligan and Meng Ping's numbers one after another. Meng Ping must be in the detention center now. I wonder if he is also looking out the window, looking at the same sunset. Zhang Chen still doesn't know where Lu Ligan is. Zhang Chen closed the flap of his mobile phone and sighed. Zhang Chen thought to himself, it would be great if even one of these two people could get through on the phone, and he would not be so irritated and feel such a strong sense of loneliness. During this period of time, Zhang Chen tried his best to pretend to be relaxed and indifferent, but he was nervous in his heart. There were many things that neither he nor Xiao Zhao could say. If he did, it would only bring more unnecessary troubles. If Meng Ping and Lu Ligan were here, they could say, "Friends, don't they rely on each other at critical times?" However, at the most critical moment for Meng Ping and Lu Ligan, he failed to be their support. When they extended their hands for help, he did not catch them. No, they did not even extend their hands to them. That was their fault. I feel that I am completely unreliable and have too little ability to help them solve any problems. And they, in Zhang Chen's heart, have long been relied on. Although Zhang Chen has no intention of asking them to borrow money, Meng Ping said, "Within 10 million, I will call you in minutes, more than 10 million, if you give me a few days." It will invisibly give Zhang Chen the confidence to do anything he dares to do. Including that time, when the director and secretary of Sanbeo asked me to register a company, I clearly only had 2 million, but I dared to say that the registered capital was 5 million, because I felt that the 3 million would not be a problem, because Lu Ligan and Meng Ping are here. Now that Lu Ligan and Meng Ping are gone, Zhang Chen feels trembling and cautious in everything he does. They are no longer his backers, but he must work hard to become their backers. In this world, money cannot solve all problems, but it can solve most of the problems. Whether it is Meng Ping or Lu Ligan, when they appear again when the time comes, money will definitely be needed. Zhang Chen couldn't let himself fall, especially when everyone else fell, and he couldn't fall. Now, what might make him fall, he couldn't control it, was here. Chu Tianlin is right. If things are not done well here, it will become a bottomless pit. The more Zhang Chen learns about it, the more he feels this way. That day in Director Liu's office, and even after coming out of his office, Zhang Chen felt what Zhang Chen felt was irritability and anxiety, but as the number of visits here increased in the past 2 days, especially after having more contact with people here, Zhang Chen felt worried and even a little desperate. He had a feeling that he was heading towards an unfathomable abyss step by step. These people here are all people from another world. The workers in another world are completely different from the workers in his factory. The workers in the factory are very simple. They just work hard to make more money, and the tighter the production tasks are, the workers are better managed. Each one is like a nail nailed to his seat. How can it be difficult to manage? Workers in the factory don't even have to worry about commuting to and from get off work. After getting up, washing their faces and eating, they go to the workshop, turn on the machines and start working. Even the supervisor has not yet arrived in the workshop. The same goes for getting off work. As long as he has not finished his work for the day, no one needs to tell him that he will work hard until he is done. He will submit the finished product to quality inspection and only get off work after passing the inspection, even if he stays up all night, even if he is the only one left in the workshop. One person. Here, the prescribed working hours are from 8 a.m. to 11:30 p.m. and from 1 p.m. to 5:30 p.m., but no one can tell clearly who will come and when, and even how many people will come to the factory today. Even if you come here, no one will know. Most people still come to the factory every day, it seems, just to make themselves feel that they have somewhere to go. When they go out in the morning, they can confidently tell their families that I have gone to work. In fact, they just changed the place to sit, or he said that there were more people chatting in the factory and the chatting atmosphere was better than at home. Those who still sit down and drive a few pairs of large pants every day are because there is a piece rate bonus of 10 cents for making a pair. The salary is not guaranteed, but this bonus can be paid every month, because it does not add up to a few hundred yuan. Money. And these few who still do some work are all poor households in the factory. Even this dime bonus is good for them. The situation here makes Zhang Chen feel as if he has returned to Jiaofang. Even the people around him seem to be from Jiaofang. How difficult it is to deal with the people in Jiaofang. Back then, he was the most difficult thorn in the side. One of them is no less than the working class today. Zhang Chen now feels that he sympathizes with the Yongcheng County Cultural Bureau and Ding Begu. Did you begin to understand their difficulties only when you were in the same situation as them? Zhang Chen shook his head. The sun has set, and now the entire stadium, including the entire world around it, is immersed in the same light. The night is still dark, and it is still dark. It is so anxious and uneasy, and every time the pile driver bang the blow seemed to make the light a little darker, as if the night was shaken down from the sky bit by it. Zhang Chen feels that he has no way out now. In any case, it is his choice to annex this place. Even if he is dizzy in Director Liu's office, the choice after dizziness is also your choice. Xiao Zhao objected, and Chu Tianlin reminded her that since you are still stubborn and want to choose a path to darkness, then you should go unless you can see the light at the end of darkness. Zhang Chen felt that he had no choice. He just wanted to walk this dark road to the end and go all the way. Apart from that, he had no other way to go. Walk into the night, just plunge into the night so recklessly. You can only find your own light in the dark night, if that light is still there, or if it is still there. Zhang Chen lay down on the cement stand. The cement under his body was still warm, but the heat was disappearing. Every bang hit of the pile driver next door seemed to make the temperature a little lower. Closing his eyes, Zhang Chen thought of that night in Haikan. In that swamp, so many fireflies surrounded him, bringing an unreal world. But now, this world and this night seem not to be real either. So true. Thank you Weiza 99999, Suyu Enian, and 359833.qdcn for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all a happy life. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei-Shi Niang. Chapter 664. It is getting dark, but there is no complete darkness in the city. There are always lights here and there, which will bring a little light to this place. Zhang Chen took advantage of the half-dark light and walked back and forth throughout the factory. He felt that in order to get this place on the right track, he must first win over people's hearts, and the best way to win over people's hearts is to let everyone when we see changes, everyone will feel hopeful when there are changes. But if the lifelessness of the past continues, this place will continue to rot. But how to change, Zhang Chen felt, was the most troublesome for him. Zhang Chen stayed in the factory until about 9 o'clock. He went out and locked the door, walked around the door again, and rode his bicycle to Huancheng North Road to look at the courtyard wall behind them. Then I went to the store. Zhang Chen and Xiao Zhao asked the finance department to transfer 100,000 yuan to Kuning Garment Factory's account tomorrow. What? Zhang Chen didn't say what he was doing. He thought for a while and said, forget it, I'd better go to the factory later and let her write a check to me. Xiao Zhao looked at him, feeling depressed, knowing that although he didn't say anything, he was still under a lot of pressure. Xiao Zhao felt that it might be the best way to let him relax slowly without asking him anything. He would also tell himself that asking too many questions would only make him feel annoyed. Zhang Chen sat down, took the sketchbook, and started drawing from memory. He finished drawing the entire factory area. When he reached the stadium road in front of the drawing, Zhang Chen was excited. He asked Xiao Zhao, how about we rent out the office building? How to rent? Look, although the door of this office building opens to the factory, outside it is Tianjin Road. Aren't we now encouraged to break through the wall and open shops? If we turn this office building into shops for rent, can we increase our income? Xiao Zhao looked at it and felt that this was a way, but it was definitely not a good way. If it was a good way, the Kuning Garment Factory at that time would have done it long ago. The reasons why they did not do it were that the renovation of the office building itself required it costs a lot of money, but the benefits after the renovation are invisible and there are great risks. Although Stadium Road is one of the main streets in Hangzhou, it is not a commercial district. There are basically no shops on the entire street. Especially the place at Kuning Garment Factory. On the right is the Hangcheng Oil Refinery. Large trucks and tank trucks are coming and going from the door. On the left is the Provincial Gymnasium, and opposite is the Hangcheng Stadium. Except on game days, except for some people here, other times, no one stays here at all. Xiao Zhao told Zhang Chen his thoughts, and Zhang Chen sighed. He also felt that what Xiao Zhao said was reasonable. Don't spend a lot of money on renovating an office building. If no one comes to rent it in the end, it will be a loss. Zhang Chen gave up this idea. When they arrived downstairs, Wu Ziyawai came to pick them up. Zhang Chen asked Xiao Zhao, "Do you want to take Zhang Xiangbei home first?" "Where are you going?" Xiao Zhao asked. "In the factory. I have to get the check and have a meeting with Zhao Zhigang, Wei Venfang, and Lao Wan. Then let's go to the factory too." Zhang Chen agreed and asked Wu Ziyawai to drive directly to the factory. The next morning, Zhang Chen went to Kuning Garment Factory. There were slightly more people in the factory than yesterday afternoon, with more than 30 people present. But Zhang Chen clearly felt a kind of hostility from the eyes and expressions of these people looking at them. Even those poor households no longer worked. Everyone just sat in the foyer of the factory and office building, watching coldly. Looking at them, I lost the energy to even chat. Zhang Chen knew in his heart that this was a non-cooperation movement, and someone must be instigating it, and the instigators were just those few people who he refused to let them continue playing cards. Maybe the one who started it was the working class man. Not long after Zhang Chen and the others arrived, Lao Wan took the maintenance team to replace the light bulbs and ceiling fans as ordered by Zhang Chen. A large truck drove in from outside the door. This was the sewing machine owner on Danhuan Road. "Come here." Regarding sewing machines, Zhao Zhigang went to ask yesterday. They accept this kind of old-fashioned sewing machine, but the price is only 20 yuan a piece. Zhao Zhigang asked Zhang Chen, and Zhang Chen said that if he sold it, it would be garbage if he left it there. Zhao Zhilong jumped out of the cab of the large truck. Zhang Chen asked his boss to bring 5 high-speed trucks. Zhao Zhilong went there early in the morning to pick out the machines. Zhang Chen's idea was to bring 5 over first and give them to the workers here for practice. The truck stopped at the door of the factory. Zhao Zhilong asked those people to help move the machine, but no one paid attention to him as Saturday Lao Wan came over with the maintenance team, moved the machine down, and placed it on the basketball court. I started to move those old-fashioned sewing machines into the car. Hey, what are you doing?" someone shouted. "If you sell it, how can you do anything with such a rotten thing?" Zhao Zhilong said. "The machines are all sold, so what do we use for work? Learn this first, and then everyone in the factory will switch to high-speed vehicles," Zhao Zhilong said. Someone immediately shouted, "I don't want to learn about electricity. What if I get an electric shock? Yes, what should I do if the needle pricks me? Also, if you see, this is the motor and this is the belt. If you are not careful, your clothes will be transferred into the belt." The working class shouted, "What I said is right, capitalists are capitalists, and they start selling their products as soon as they come here. All the machines in this Kuning garment factory have been sold out, what is left?" While there was a lot of chatter over there, Zhang Chen walked into the financial room. He handed the check to Zhao Jingjing and told her, "Go to the bank and hand it over, and leave the money in the account when it arrives. This is specifically for payroll purposes." "So many?" Zhao Jingjing asked. "Is that enough for 2 months?" Zhang Chen asked. "Enough is enough." "Okay, we are not familiar with the people in the factory yet, So please inform me that starting from tomorrow, anyone who does not come to work will be treated as absenteeism and their wages will be deducted. Also, those who arrive late and leave early every day will also have their wages deducted. I will ask Director Wei to write this and post it later. Okay, I understand, Director Zhang Zhaojingjing said excitedly. The reason why Zhang Chen asked her to notify him was because he knew that at the same time, she would definitely tell everyone that she had 2 months' salary saved here. Zhang Chen wanted to make them understand that their monthly wages were guaranteed. In this way, they were not allowed to be late, leave early, or be absent from work, otherwise their wages would be deducted. This would be effective and a deterrent. Zhang Chen walked out of the office building and saw a bunch of noisy people over there, so he walked over and saw them surrounding Zhao Hailong. Zhang Chen asked what was wrong, and Zhao Hailong said that they all said they refused to learn. Those people talked to Zhang Chen non-stop. Zhang Chen said yes, first of all, he is also a worker in this factory like you. If he can do it, why can't you do it? Second, it's okay if you don't study. Then you can sit in the factory every day and watch them work. This is not a high request, right? Zhao Hailong smiled and said, okay, you can just play around and we will support you. Those people jumped up again, and the working class cursed, Quillower, you are awesome and coaxing, and you still support us. We are the working class, and you, Quillower, are migrant workers to support us. Zhang Chen asked them, who among you has the best skills? Many people pointed at the working class. Zhang Chen understood. No wonder this guy had a loud voice. It turned out that he felt good about himself because he was the backbone of the factory. Zhang Chen looked at him and said with a smile, then let's play a game, okay? What game? You're not the working class. Of course it's a competition to see who can work faster. You two, let's compare handmade buttonholes. He'll lock 5 and you'll lock 1. See who's faster. Everyone was stunned, and then shouted, 5 against 1, how is it possible, compare with him. Zhao Long, let Mr. Gua see what you are capable of. Compete with him. Some people immediately ran away to find sewing cotton and scissors. This time, there was no competition but a competition. The working class said, competition is a competition. What if he loses? What do you want him to do? Zhang Chen asked. Get out and don't come in again. Zhang Chen said yes. Then what if you lose? Zhao Hailong asked. 5 versus 1, how could I lose? What if it happens? Zhang Chen asked. What if? Working class scratched his neck, then I will leave this factory by myself. Wait a minute, this doesn't count, don't bet so big. Zhang Chen quickly stopped him and said to him, in this case, he loses. He will no longer show up in this factory. It doesn't matter. He still has a job in that factory. If he doesn't come here, it won't have much impact on him. You are going to lose. Not to mention leaving the factory, I think. Zhang Chen looked outside the foyer. He said this is good. No matter who loses, you two, he will run 5 laps along the court outside. If he loses, he will run 5 laps outside, and he will not be able to come here from now on. This way, okay? The working class nodded and said yes. Someone immediately volunteered to be a referee. Zhao Hailong asked, how big are the buttons? Someone brought out a button. Zhao Hailong measured it with a ruler, then picked up the paint powder and dotted 5 spots on the cloth. The working class also drew the buttonhole positions on the cloth. The referee called 1, 2, 3, start. Zhao Hailong started sewing directly on the cloth. The workers on the side were all surprised that there was such a way to lock buttonholes. Shouldn't the buttonholes be cut first and then locked along the cuts? Zhang Chen saw that this is how the working class is locked up. At the beginning, everyone was still shouting and making noises. Of course, they were mainly cheering for the working class, and the foyer was very lively. But then, the sound slowly died down, and everyone's attention was focused on Zhao's Hailong. In his hand, he saw a neat buttonhole quickly appearing on the piece of cloth. Some people looked at their watches and shook their heads. Someone shouted softly, "Gauge a stick." Everyone watched with bated breath as the foyer, which had been noisy just a moment ago, was now completely silent. Working class glanced at Zhao's Hailong. Sweat broke out on his forehead and his hands began to shake. When Zhao's Hailong quickly locked the 5 buttonholes connected in a series, he picked up the scissors and cut the buttonholes open with a click, cut off the thread ends, and handed the cloth to the referee. The referee picked up the button and put it through the buttonhole. In the past, buttonholes were neither too big nor too small, just right. There was an exclamation in the crowd, and everyone felt that the other 4 did not need to try. In turn, they looked at the working class with some sympathy. The working class buttonhole is only 2/3 locked. The face of the working class turned red. He sat blankly for a while, threw away the cloth in his hand, stood up, and walked outside. Zhang Chen grabbed him and asked, "Go and do it well." The working class said angrily, "I lost, I'm going to run." "If you want to run, wait until the sun goes down." "Do you want heat stroke?" Zhang Chen scolded. From that day on, workers in this factory, even those in their 40s or 50s, would call Zhao's Hailong Master Zhao when they saw him, and no one would call him Guolao anymore. Zhang Chen felt that the working class was completely wilted, and he was secretly amused in his heart. Thank you Suyuinian and Infinite Love for your monthly votes. Thank you for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei-Shi Niang. Chapter 665. Sure enough, just as Zhang Chen expected, all the employees arrived at the factory the next day, but more than 100 people arrived at the factory. Except for the 5 machines, all the other machines in the factory were sold, but they were not sold. They are not here to work, but to laugh. If you ask us not to be absent from work and to be late and leave early, then we will neither be absent from work nor be late and leave early. But what do you want me to do? I'm sorry, it depends on whether I am willing or not. Anyway, you can't fire me. It depends on what else you have. Method. From the bottom of their hearts, these local workers in Hangzhou look down on Zhang Chen. They think that since you are from the countryside, you want to be our boss and make us obey you obediently. Is it that easy? There were 5 high-speed trains there, but no one was willing to go over and learn from them. Zhao's Hailong wanted to call 1 or 2 over, but Zhang Chen told him, "Don't call, just let them go and teach them only when they are willing to learn." Now he still has it won't be time. Zhang Chen knows that it is impossible for you to forcefully pull a few people over now. It will only make people laugh. Those who dare to come will be regarded as aliens and traitors by others. It is impossible for them to pull this person down. Face. There were more than 100 workers in the factory and there was no place to sit, so in the morning before the sun rose above their heads, they sat in the stands next to the gymnasium. Between their factory and the provincial gymnasium, there were 2 tall camphor trees. In the morning, the stands here were still cloudy. At 11:20 p.m., everyone crowded to the factory gate, waiting to get off work. At 11:30, someone called Zuo Shaya Shaya Shaya. When the time was up, everyone filed out and went home for dinner. Before 1 o'clock in the afternoon, they started arriving again continued back. At this time, the stands could no longer be seated, so they went to empty workshops or office buildings. Some even went to the metasequoia forest behind the workshop. It was dirty and smelly, but it was cooler. Zhang Chen had asked Lao Wan's maintenance team to stop all the work in the factory, leaving 2 people behind to help Wu Zayawai deliver the goods. The others were all here, and even the mixer was moved here. bricks, cement, and sand were shipped one after another. Zhang Chen asked several of them to go to the workshop to paint the walls, level the floor, install brackets and power supplies, and some people started to dismantle the stands near the Hangzhou refinery. Chen is planning to build a 3-story building here, with the first floor serving as a cafeteria and restaurant, and the second and third floors serving as dormitories. In the entire factory, all the people who were busy were people from Sanbeo. Even Zhang Chen himself took off his clothes and worked shirtless with Lao Wan and the others in the bright sun. Those people just sat there, watching them work. At first, they thought it was fun, but later on, they actually had mixed feelings in their hearts. Wei Wenfang and Zhao Jingjing also came out to help wearing straw hats. They couldn't do the heavy work, so they handed water to Zhang Chen and the others. Zhao Jingjing watched several men scolding them. "Can you stand there and watch?" The men simply walked away. The two groups of people were fighting each other every day. After the stands were dismantled, Zhang Chen asked Lao Wan to call a dozen fellow villagers to work with the maintenance team day and night, taking a few hours of rest when the sun was very strong at noon. In this way, in just over a week, a 3-story building was completed. Just got up. Those who were sitting and watching were secretly surprised. When had they ever seen such a big change in the factory for so many years? At first they were able to stay in the workshop, but then they couldn't even stay in the workshop and had to crowd into the office building because the factory also started to be renovated. Zhang Chen readjusted the layout of the original factory building. The original workshop on the first floor was changed into a back aisle and a large ironing room. Half of the room opposite was used as a cutting room and the other half was used as a warehouse. Even so, the cutting room was much larger than Sanbeo, and the cutting bed was doubled. It turned out that the workers at Kuning Garment Factory were dumbfounded. They had never seen such a big cutting bed. The two workshops on the second floor are both used as sewing workshops. Each can accommodate more than 80 sewing machines. Zhang Chen opened one first and left the other empty. A window facing the basketball court outside was knocked out, converted into a door, and an elevator was installed to transport goods. In this way, whether it is cutting pieces or ready-made garments made in the workshop, there is no need to carry them up and down the stairs. Is shipped directly from here. The two rooms on the third floor have also been cleared out. After painting, there are two large rooms. Zhang Chen plans to use one as a design center, so that the exhibition room of Sanbeo can be completely used as a distribution center by Zheng Huiyang and others. Another reason for placing the design center here is because this is the city center, and designers generally don't like to go to the outskirts of the city. Sanbeo is too far for them. Zhang Chen originally interviewed Tu. Zhang Chen thought the designer was very good, but in the end it was because the work location was in Sanbeo. After thinking about it, the other party gave up. If the design center is located here, it will be easy to recruit people. The one opposite the design center, Zhang Chen still vaguely wanted to use it as an office. Although he had given up the idea of converting the office building in front of it into a shop, he had never given up the idea of renting out that building. After all, that's the house facing the street. Zhang Chen was busy with all this every day, leaving those more than 100 people there without paying attention, as if they were just air. Zhang Chen has experienced this process himself and understands their inner thoughts very well. He knows that the more you take them seriously at this time, the higher their tails will rise, thinking that this factory cannot do without them. If you lose to them in the first round, you will be unable to move forward and will be constrained everywhere. Only by completely knocking off their arrogance, so that they have no resentment in their hearts and obey the arrangements wholeheartedly, will everything go smoothly in the future. Damn it, this is how I got here. You guys are here to play this trick with me. It's just a waste of time. Anyway, I can't fire you. So Zhang Chen can only do what he said at the beginning. You just need to go to and from get off work on time. When we are working, you are watching from the side. As long as you are nice, you will keep watching. Zhang Chen set up an additional reception room at the door. During working hours, everyone who comes in must fill in a visitor form, and everyone who goes out must present an exit pass. The exit pass must be issued by Zhao Hailong or Wei Venfang, unless you do not go out. Otherwise, you have to ask these two Guolaoer. After everything was prepared, more than half a month passed. Those who came to the factory every day to do nothing felt awkward in their hearts, but they had no choice. They still couldn't lose face and went to tell Zhao Hailong, "Master Zhao, please arrange a seat for me. I want to learn." And there were still people clamoring behind. Zhang Chen and Zhao Zhigang discussed and transferred a person from the sewing workshop from Sanbeo, and also transferred some people from the cutting bed, ironing, and back end, and then started recruiting workers from both sides, so that the production capacity of their own factory could be expanded. Zhao Zhigang is still in charge of Sanbeo, and at Kuning Garment Factory, Zhao Hailong is in charge of production. Kuning Garment Factory finally heard the rumbling sound of machines. Workers transferred from Sanbeo only filled 1/3 of the workshop, and new people were being recruited every day. As a result, it turned out that Kuning Garment Factory, the factory workers panicked. First, after work started, they walked around the workshop every day and saw that the migrant workers, Guolaoer, who they usually looked down upon, all worked more skillfully than they did, and their confidence was first hit. In front of me, there is no longer so much sense of superiority. Then I saw the empty machines there. Newly recruited people sat on each platform. There were fewer and fewer empty machines. Soon, I would really have to stand aside and watch others work every day. Then this in terms of face, how can I bear it? The workers who came from Sanbeo and the newly recruited workers all worked on a piece rate basis. Zhang Chen made a large blackboard at the head of the workshop. 2 large tables were posted on the blackboard to count everyone's daily output. On top, there is a wage table next to it, so that by comparing the 2 tables, everyone can calculate his or her daily salary. Zhang Chen's post was actually not for the workers on the watch, but for the bystanders. After watching it for a few days, the workers at the Laokuning Garment Factory couldn't hold it back. They discovered that the workers here could earn more every day. A salary of more than 20 yuan is equivalent to 700 to 800 yuan a month, which is 4 times my own salary. How can I do this? Those people who were living in difficulty gave up their jobs first. Face was not as important as money. They found Zhang Chen and said to him, "Director Zhang, please help us arrange work and let us learn. We have seen it. It doesn't seem to be difficult to learn this." Zhang Chen agreed and asked Zhao Hailong to arrange them into parking spaces. He would teach them every day. After 2 days of training, they were basically proficient in operating high-speed vehicles. Zhang Chen let them choose whether to use the original salary calculation method or the unified salary calculation method. What do you mean?" they asked. "That's right. According to the old method, the salary is the same as before. You get a fixed salary every month, and you only need to complete the most basic production tasks every day. According to the same standard, just like them, it is also based on piecework. Of course we are just like them. We are also old lathes. I don't believe it. We can't keep up with them," someone shouted, and everyone else was right. In this way, this group of people was officially arranged into the workshop. Immediately, the local people were naturally divided into 2 groups. Those who had already taken up their posts were together at work and after work, coming in and out, while those who continued to watch with cold eyes. After the restaurant was built, these onlookers finally found a good place to go. They came every day and no longer sat in the stands. Instead, in addition to going to the workshop, they all gathered in the restaurant. There was a ceiling fan in the restaurant. There is a TV. You can sit here with the ceiling fan blowing and watch TV. It is much more comfortable than before. At 11:30, it was time for them to go home from work and have dinner. The aroma wafted over them. They couldn't help it. Before leaving, they went to the dining window to see that the food was not bad. At this time, workers coming off work from the workshop, they came in one after another, and a few good people refused to leave. They wanted to see how much it would cost to have a meal in the cafeteria like this. As a result, they discovered that there was no need for meal tickets. Everyone just took the stainless steel dinner plate and went to the window to get food. How do you calculate the cost of meals like this? The working class asked the workers who were eating. What kind of food is paid for? The person who was asked turned around and asked curiously, don't you know that meals in our factory are free of charge? For free? Yes, if you have this, you can buy food. The worker pointed to the factory brand on his chest. Where's yours? The working class quickly took out his own label from his pocket. You can hang it up and get a shot, said the worker who was eating. Real? Of course, you are a worker in this factory, of course you can fight. The working class led these people, with the mentality of giving it a try, to the window where the food was served, and took a stainless steel plate from the table on the side and handed it in. The cook inside did not even look at it. So he asked, 1 meat and 2 vegetables, which 3 do you want? They took the food and sat around a table to eat. They were both excited and regretful. If they had known this, they would have eaten here a few days ago, running back and forth on a hot day. I felt in my heart that the treatment in Quillower's factory was also very good. When they saw Zhang Chen and Zhao Hailong coming in, they quickly lowered their heads. Zhang Chen and Zhao Hailong walked past them carrying the food, but they still didn't seem to see them and walked over. The next day, all the workers knew that they could eat for free in the factory, so they all stayed to eat. The chef in the cafeteria seemed to know that there were many people eating today, so he cooked a lot more food. In fact, Zhang Chen told them yesterday afternoon that there would be more than 100 more diners today. Thank you Amli Yuliu, Zuzu, Nasha for the reward. Thank you Lulu 717P11, Thirsty for Sweet Spring, Bad Sample, Bugs Never Fly, and Amli Yuliu for your monthly votes. Thank you for all the votes and reading. Happy holidays everyone. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Xiniang. Chapter 666. The next thing workers at the Laocoonian garment factory learned was that the factory also provided free breakfast and dinner, and if they worked overtime after 10 o'clock in the evening, they would also provide late-night snacks. So everyone came early in the morning, watched TV in the restaurant after breakfast, waited for lunch, and continued watching TV after lunch. Some people went home at 5:30, and some continued to have dinner before going home. It seems that their daily work is to go to the factory to eat. Regardless of whether it was Zhang Chen, Zhao Hailong, or Wei Wenfang, they still acted as if they had not seen them. On the contrary, the workers, including the workers of the Laocoonian garment factory who were already on duty, looked at them with mocking eyes, ridiculing them for not doing any work every day, but still occupying good seats and grabbing the hottest meals. When the workers who had worked hard for a long time came from the workshop, these people were already here, lining up shamelessly. When they saw them, they all held their hands and shook their heads and sneered, as if they were just here to eat and drink. In fact, it's true, they just come here to eat, drink, watch TV and use the fan. After the workers finished eating, they all went back to the workshop, not bothering to stay here with them for another minute. They were left alone, sitting there looking at each other, and shaking their heads with a wry smile, not knowing what they were doing. Finally, someone couldn't help it anymore. She stood up, looked at the others and asked, Aren't you embarrassed if you do this every day? 2 points, you sashi, what did you say, cried the working class. This woman was very tall, about 1.70 meters tall. She looked at the working class and asked, "What's the difference between us and beggars? In my opinion, we are worse than beggars. If you give a beggar a cent or two, they will still know how to thank you. As for us, we get other people's wages and eat for free, one by one. You're still talking about it?" Some people lowered their heads, and some people were laughing, but the laughter was embarrassing. 2 points, I don't deserve it. Why don't you come to the cave to do sex? Don't bother me, what are you doing? The working class shouted at the 2 points. The one who was called 2 points snorted and cursed, "You can live with it in this kind of life, but I can't bear it. You are shameless, but I still want shame. I went to work." After she finished speaking, she walked out of the restaurant, and a dozen or so people also stood up and followed her out. Then every day, people came to Zhao's Hailong quietly and asked to learn electric sewing machines. That workshop was quickly filled up, and Zhang Chen also opened the opposite workshop. There were still a dozen people who insisted on watching, but when it came time to pay wages, they saw that the workers who were the first to work had only been on the job for 10 days last month, and the previous 20 days were still calculated based on the old wages. That is, in this way, their wages are more than double their own. Including 2 points and others who had only been there for a few days, they still had dozens of dollars more than me. At this time, the dozen or so people were no longer able to hold on, and they all went to find Zhao's Hailong. The working class followed angrily at the back. When he walked into the workshop, no one said anything to him, but he felt that all the people everyone looked at him. His face was even redder than when he lost to Zhao's Hailong in the last keyhole match. If he could, he would be willing to run 10 laps outside in the sun. But in fact, in this factory, no one cares about what he is thinking at this time. He is no longer important in this factory. No matter what he says, people will just think he is farting. If someone is looking at him, it really means that he is farting. 1. That is Zhang Chen. Everyone was on duty. When Zhang Chen saw that even the working class were walking towards his own parking space, Zhang Chen could finally breathe a sigh of relief. This first step has finally been taken. Zhang Chen asked Lao Wan and the others to repaint the factory building, clean up all the rubbish in the metasequoia forest behind the factory building, and dig drainage ditches so that when it rains, the rainwater will not accumulate. They also paved the forest in the middle of the forest. Terrazzo chairs are installed along the shaded path so that workers can come here to walk and sit when they take a break. Of the 2 basketball courts, the one near the employee canteen was transformed into a small garden by Zhang Chen. The other one also had stands next to it. Zhang Chen asked Lao Wan and the others to renovate the stands and buy new backboards to install them. The lines on the ground court were repainted, and the lights on the top were replaced, creating a brand new lighted court. The entire Kuning garment factory now has a brand new look. Apart from this office building, Zhang Chen still hasn't figured out what to do. Zhang Chen walked into the finance room. Zhao Jingjing looked at him and said, "Director Zhang, you have renovated the stadium. Many people in the factory are probably feeling itchy." Zhang Chen asked, "Is there anyone in the factory who can play basketball?" "Which veteran worker over 40 years old can't do this?" Accountant Li opposite said. "Oh, who is the most powerful?" Zhang Chen became interested and asked. 2 points. Accountant Li and Zhao Jingjing said in unison, and then they both laughed. Accountant Li told Zhang Chen that 2 minutes ago she was the most popular center in Hangzhou. "Do you know how she got her nickname?" Zhang Chen thought for a while and said, "Can the shot be accurate?" "Yes, not only does she shoot accurately, but she also has a habit of shouting 2 points in her mouth and shooting with perfect accuracy." When Accountant Li said this, he looked at Zhao Jingjing. The two of them laughed again. Zhang Chen wondered what was so funny about this. No, no, Lai Fen is famous in Hangzhou, not only for this, but also for one more thing. Accountant Li looked at Zhao Jingjing and said with a smile, you tell me, tell it to Director Zhang, it's embarrassing for me to tell you about Mao. Zhao Jingjing talked to Zhang Chen, and Zhang Chen couldn't help but laugh. He said, it seems that this two-pointer was really powerful when he was young. The story told by Zhao Jingjing and Zhang Chen is that year, the women's basketball team of Kuning Garment Factory played against Hangzhou Iron and Steel Co., Limited. It was held at the Hangzhou Iron and Steel Stadium. More than 2,000 seats were occupied. During the game, 2 points were scored in the free throw arc there. She received a pass. When she was about to take off and shoot, the opponent's player pulled her, and the result. At that time, when people went to play, they always wore track pants. After wearing these track pants for a long time, the elasticity would become very loose and inelastic, but there was a cotton rope tied around them, so I was not afraid. That day, Liang Fen was about to jump up and shoot the ball. Someone pulled her up and the cotton rope around her waist suddenly broke. She held the two-pointer in her hand and was stunned for a moment, but she still took off gracefully, shouting, 2 points. As soon as he took the shot, the ball brushed into the basket. It turns out that the rope is broken. It doesn't matter if you pull it with your hands immediately. I didn't expect that. I was so eager to score these 2 points. I must throw this basket away. I still have to take off and jump together. Then my pants will completely fall off. After shooting, after the basket, she yelled, pulled up her pants from her heels, and ran down crying. As she ran, she shouted to the referee, 2 points, 2 points. The nickname Liang Fen suddenly became famous in Hangzhou. After laughing, Zhang Chen had already made up his mind to bring back the British basketball team. After the Sanbao venue is vacated, a basketball court will be built in the yard. From now on, the two factories can often compete in basketball games. It can be merged into a half-acre basketball team to compete with outside units. Zhang Chen received a call from Xiao Zhao. Xiao Zhao and Zhang Chen said, Xiao Wu is here. When will you come over? Xiao Wu heard it from the side and quickly told Xiao Zhao, Brother Chen doesn't need to come over. It's better for us to go over and see your new factory too. Zhang Chen heard it on the phone and said yes. Anyway, it was only a 10-minute walk from there. Wu Zaiyi just delivered the goods, I asked him to send them there, Xiao Zhao said. Putting down the phone, Zhang Chen thought to himself, them. Who did the Xiao Wu come with? Zhang Chen walked out and stood at the door of the office building. After a while, Wu Zaiyi's Ivko came in from the door, and Zhang Chen hurried over. He saw Feng Logui coming out of the car with Xiao Wu. Zhang Chen was stunned for a moment, but he immediately laughed and walked up to shake hands with Lao Gui. Why are you so rare? Zhang Chen asked. Uncle Lao Gui asked me to accompany him, Xiao Wu said. Me too. Hey, those idiots from the Cultural Bureau are too embarrassed to come, so let me come, Feng Logui said. Why did the Cultural Affairs Bureau ask me to be the leader? Zhang Chen said with a smile. You, Zhang Chen, are still going to be that bad group leader, Feng Logui said. The county is holding an art festival, isn't it? You are invited to be a guest. No, I hate doing this the most, Zhang Chen refused without thinking. The three people walked inside and arrived at Zhang Chen's office. Feng Logui and Xiao Wu were a little surprised when they saw his office was so shabby. Zhang Chen smiled and said, how about it, Lao Gui? This office is very similar to yours like. Feng Logui shook his head and said, I am really poor, you are just pretending. No one would believe that there is such a big store and such a big factory. Oh, no, I heard that there is another one. No one would believe that such a big boss is in such a terrible office. Zhang Chen laughed and told them honestly that he had not decided what to do with this building yet, so he would not move it for the time being and would just make do with it. This is the only reasonable thing to say. Feng Logui smiled. He then took out the invitation letter from his bag and handed it to Zhang Chen, asking him to go back to Yongcheng. Zhang Chen shook his head and cursed. Damn it, Logui. When you get here, just tell me what you want to eat. I'll take you wherever you want to go. If you let me go back to Yongcheng to do this shit, I won't go even if you kill me. Lao Gui said, many leaders from above will come to this art festival. It's none of my business, Zhang Chen cursed, thinking in his mind, what kind of leader, deputy chief S and deputy mayor came to attend my ribbon cutting. I avoided it. What kind of leader would I want to see? If you see it, I'll tell Brother Chen that he won't go, Xiao Wu said from the side. By the way, how is the group doing now? Zhang Chen asked. A new play has been rehearsed, 2 excerpts, for this art festival. The county has also allocated 100,000 yuan to rehearse the play. The troupe finally looks like a troupe. No, even Xiao Wu and the others, they all went back to rehearse. I was pulled back by Sister Shahen, Xiao Wu shouted. Feng Logui and Zhang Chen were both stunned for a moment. Feng Logui was a little embarrassed. Zhang Chen quickly changed the subject and said, well, Logui, how about I sponsor 50,000 yuan to the group? Real? Of course, give me your account number and I'll call the finance department later. Then can this be considered a sponsorship for the art festival? Feng Logui said, the county has assigned each unit the task of soliciting sponsorship. We have a group of 20,000 people. Where can we go? Who will give us a hum when we go out? Just Li the teacher finally got 2,000, and we are worried about this. It doesn't matter how you calculate it, but the money must be given to the group. The county is none of my business, Zhang Chen said. Okay, that's okay. By the way, Zhang Chen, it's such an honor to sit on the podium as a guest, you should think about it. If you keep saying that, I won't fight for 50,000 yuan, Zhang Chen scolded with a smile. Okay, everyone's gifts have arrived, but you still want people to be present for the wedding banquet, Xiao Wu scolded, and both Zhang Chen and Feng Logui laughed. Thank you to Liu, Pai Wuozun, Lao Chantang, and Brokeback Mountain for your monthly passes. Thank you for all the votes and reading. Happy holidays to everyone. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 667. After seeing off Feng Logui and Xiao Wu, Zhang Chen walked to the factory gate and saw many people walking towards the ticket office of the stadium. Zhang Chen was curious and walked over to take a look. It turned out that it was 3 days later. A friendly match between the national men's basketball team led by Zhang Xingquan and the American college star team. There were a lot of people lined up at the ticket window. They all came here to buy tickets. Zhang Chen knew that most of these people should be here for Zheng Wu. Zheng Wu is the main player of the national team and a native of Hangzhou. This opportunity is rare. Zhang Chen immediately returned to the factory, walked to the finance room, and said to Zhao Jingjing, go to the workshop and make statistics to see how many people want to watch the game between the national men's basketball team and the American college team in 3 days. That's Zheng Wu, I'm going there, Accountant Li called. After counting, you go and buy tickets. The venue is reserved by your company. By the way, give me 20 more tickets. Zhang Chen and Zhao Jingjing said that they would add 20 more cards, for themselves and Xiao Zhao, and then see if anyone at Sanbeo wanted to see them. If so, they would ask Wu Zaiwai to pull them over in a car. Zhao Jingjing stood up and ran out immediately. On the day of the competition, Zhang Chen and Xiao Zhao took Zhang Xiangbei. It was still bright outside and it was not time to enter the stadium, but the area around the stadium was already very lively. There were many people holding money in their hands and looking for refunds. And there are scalpers selling scalper tickets everywhere. He Hongmei drove her car and arrived at the entrance of their factory. She found that because there were too many people, they overflowed from the surroundings of the gymnasium and flooded the entrance of their factory. The area around the gymnasium was completely different from the usual deserted scene. The open space in front of their gate was full of bicycles, and even the passage into the factory was full of people. Hong-mei had to keep honking the horn to get through. When she arrived at the factory gate, she found that the iron gate was tightly closed. Hong-mei muttered, "Oh my God! It's not dark, so why close the door?" She honked the horn, and the person from the reception room came out to see if it was them, and then opened the iron door. When the car slowly entered, the person from the reception room told Zhang Chen in the car that there were too many people, so they should not be locked up. They all ran in and parked their bicycles. Zhang Chen nodded and understood. Zhang Chen did not expect that a friendly match could attract so many people. It seems that there are still many sports fans in the city. Zhang Chen's heart skipped a beat. After entering the venue, Zhang Chen and the others were surrounded by people from their own factory. More than 100 people came in total. Most of the old employees of Kuning Garment Factory came. Zhang Chen looked carefully and didn't see anyone. 2 points. Until the opening, the announcer in the stadium introduced the players of both teams and reported Zheng Wu's name. The whole audience stood up and cheered thunderously. Zhang Chen looked around, but still didn't see anything. She was so tall, she should be very eye-catching, and it was impossible for Zhang Chen not to see her. When the show ended, they followed the flow of people out of the stadium. Wu Ziyai and Hong-mei's cars were parked in the factory. They followed the flow of people and walked into the factory. When they reached the door, Zhang Chen looked at his dark office building, and then looked at the stadium next door was still brightly lit at this moment, and suddenly my heart moved again. "Go to the office first," Zhang Chen and Xiao Zhao said. He turned to Hong-mei again and said, "Are you sending us off?" Hong-mei said yes. Zhang Chen asked Wu Ziyai and the others to go back first, and the three of them walked to Zhang Chen's office. As soon as Zhang Chen entered the office, he took out pen and paper from the drawer and started drawing. Xiao Zhao and Hong-mei were sitting on the sofa, playing with Zhang Xiangbei. This guy, there were so many people in the gym and it was so noisy. I thought he would cry, but I didn't expect him to be very excited, Xiao Zhao said with a smile. "There are so many beauties in the gym, aren't you, you little hooligan?" Hong-mei held Zhang Xiangbei's chin with her fingers, teasing him, and Zhang Xiangbei chuckled. Zhang Chen came over with a piece of paper and handed it to them. Xiao Zhao took a look at it and asked, "What is this?" Hong-mei took the piece of paper over, looked at it, and understood. She asked, "Do you want to change this building to this?" Zhang Chen said yes. "How about it?" "I think it's okay," Hong-mei said. Zhang Chen pulled up a stool, sat down, pointed at the piece of paper with the pen in his hand, and explained to the two of them. He said, "Here, we are going to go up. It is taller than this building, as high as 4 stories. The material is also made of wooden strips like the exterior wall of our half-acre field as the background wall. This looks very large, but it actually doesn't cost much. Qian, the one in front, is on the background wall, making a human figure sprinting to the finish line. This person is very big, as tall as a 3-story building. Here, 4 large artistic characters with a sense of movement, dynamic zone, and the row of small characters below is half Mutian Sports Goods Street. Such a large image wall covers the entire outside of the house, regardless of it must be very eye-catching day or night, and this place will suddenly become the highlight of Stadium Road." "What do you want to do?" Xiao Zhao asked. "Let's make sporting goods." "No, we make sporting goods," Zhang Chen said with a smile. "It's a store for rent. We first create the image and atmosphere of this place, so that people will come to rent it, and we can also increase the rent, and finally pay back the wool does not come from the sheep. This place would be a bit biased for other things, but if it's for sporting goods, it's really the best place." There's a gymnasium next to it and a stadium opposite. Which sports fan has never been here? Take a look. How many people will the competition attract? Xiao Zhao and He Hongmei both listened. Zhang Chen continued, there are so many sports fans in Hangzhou. They want to buy sportswear, shoes, rackets, balls, etc. If there are more than a dozen sports goods stores here, then when they want to buy these, will this be their first choice? Xiao Zhao and He Hongmei nodded. Zhang Chen became more and more excited as he spoke. We can divide this house into a dozen storefronts. In each storefront, the first and second floors are connected, so the area is not small. After they rent it, the first floor can be used as a storefront, and the second floor can be used as a storefront. One half can be used as a store, and the other half can be used as an office or negotiation room. After they rent it, they can not only sell sporting goods, but also open a company or branch. On the third floor, there is basically no need to decorate it. Just paint it. You can rent as many rooms as you want on the third floor. You can rent as many rooms as you want. They can be used as warehouses or for people to live in. By doing this, will we solve the problem of where other companies are registered? Those who sell sporting goods, aren't they here to rent it? I think it's okay, He Hongmei said. Well, if so, we can try, Xiao Zhao said. However, there is a flower bed outside this one. This flower bed is different from the one in our store. The one in our store is between the flower bed and our store. There is still a distance. There is an open space at the door. This is directly connected to the foot of our wall. If we want to do it, we have to demolish the entire flower bed. This can't be demolished if we want, right? Zhang Chen nodded. He felt that Xiao Zhao was right. This flower bed, like the group of flower beds on Baoka Road by Liu Bang, the founder of the Han Dynasty, required approval from the Planning Bureau and the Urban Construction Bureau before it could be demolished. It was indeed a problem. Another problem is that Zhang Chen doesn't know what the final result was of Han Emperor Liu Bang's incident. He doesn't even know whether that old chicken feather is still the leader there. If he is, he will definitely do it if he knows it is his own project. Stuck yourself. If not, don't be too happy too early. There is another problem, that is, according to the style of the Planning Bureau, as long as your project is reported to them, the project must be handed over to their Zinc and Decoration Co., limited to do it yourself. If my project falls into the hands of that ghost company, I might become the second Han Emperor Liu Bang. Yes, Xiao Zhao is right. I will go and find out what procedures need to be completed tomorrow. Zhang Chen said that what he was thinking of was to call Zhou Yaqian tomorrow to find out about the situation in the Planning Bureau. The next day, Zhang Chen arrived at the office and called Zhou Yaqian. Unexpectedly, the call was blocked. Zhang Chen thought about it and found Manager Song's number in the address book, but the call also failed. Has this company changed its number? Zhang Chen thought to himself that he called 114 and asked her to help check the phone number of Hangcheng Zinc and Decoration Co., Limited. After checking, the other party told Zhang Chen, sorry, this company has been cancelled. Haha, evil is rewarded. Zhang Chen couldn't help but laugh. He understood that the cancellation of this company must be related to the complaint by Liu Bang, the emperor of the Han Dynasty, and the investigation by the city government. I just don't know what's going on with Zhou Yaqian now. Not only can't she get paid, it seems she doesn't even have a job. Zhang Chen called Wei Wenfang and asked her to go to these two units to find out first. Wei Wenfang came back after her trip and told Zhang Chen that everyone supported breaking down the wall to open a shop and converting the office space into a business building, but if the entire flower bed in front was to be demolished, they also said that this would be difficult to do. Zhang Chen said angrily, if the flower bed cannot be moved, why should we rebuild it? That's right, that's what I told them, but they said there are regulations for this and there are regulations for that. I think, Mr. Zhang, doing things in Hangcheng is not as convenient as Haikan. They don't seem to listen to your explanation at all. Just mind themselves. Zhang Chen looked at her and laughed. The company is different too. In Haikan, you are a key enterprise of the Haikan city government. Every department has the green light. Our company, now in Hangcheng, is nothing, a minibus lazy. The difficulty of going out to do errands is certainly different. Wei Venfang said oh, as if she had some realization. Zhang Chen's big brother rang loudly. As soon as he opened it, a sound came out from inside. Zhang Chen knew it was Director Lu as soon as he heard it. Mr. Zhang, how are you now? I heard that after you took over, the Kuning garment factory has changed a lot. Now it is said that even the mental outlook of the employees is different. Haha, Mr. Zhang, you may not know, there are retired workers who are looking for Lao Nai and Lao Bao. Ah, Zhang Chen was surprised and asked quickly, Director Lu, what situation did they go to report? Don't panic, Director Lu said with a smile. Old Nai and Old Bao were also frightened by them. When they saw them, it was the same expression you just had, haha. As a result, those retired workers came over to thank them, saying that they have done a good thing. Now the retirement salary will not be delayed for a day, medical expenses can be reimbursed immediately if they go out, and if it is meal time, they can also have a free meal in the canteen. I also met Lao Nai at a meeting earlier. When he told me about this, I thought, I can't be bureaucratic. I must call Mr. Zhang and express my gratitude. Mr. Zhang, you did a good job. Thank you, Director Lu, this is what I should do, Zhang Chen said. By the way, do you have any difficulties there? Zhang Chen thought for a while and told Director Lu that they wanted to renovate the entire office building. Director Lu said, this is a good thing. What are the difficulties? Zhang Chen told Director Lu about the flower bed outside the building. After hearing this, Director Lu said, Mr. Zhang, wait a minute. I'll take a look at my arrangements for tomorrow. After a while, Director Lu and Zhang Chen said, well, Mr. Zhang, you come to my office at 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, and by the way, bring your renovation plan with you, okay? Zhang Chen quickly said yes, thank you, Director Lu. Thank you Lao Chantang for the tip. Thank you for your monthly pass of running with a smile, reading books every day, ranking third from top to bottom, Baby Tin Soldier, and On the Shore 131. Thank you for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Xiniang. Chapter 668. Zhang Chen returned to the Sanbeo factory, drew his design ideas into a rendering, and framed it with KT boards. He also wrote a planning book, including the ideas and instructions for his entire reconstruction plan. Ready to take it together to show Director Lu. Director Lu asked himself to go there at 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. According to Director Liu's work style, he didn't like to drag things out, but to solve the matter at once. Zhang Chen estimated that Director Lu should meet with the relevant leaders of the Planning Bureau and the Urban Construction Bureau tomorrow. They all were called to the office. Whether this will succeed or not will be known tomorrow. Therefore, Zhang Chen was very careful when writing his paintings. He worked until about 1 o'clock in the morning before he felt that he was ready and there was no need to revise anything. Zhang Chen put down his pen and walked outside the exhibition hall. He saw that the construction site was brightly lit and Lao Wan was working with the maintenance team. It was too hot during the day and the work on the construction site was too noisy. The workers were still sleeping. Well, they might as well do it at night. Zhang Chen walked to the workshop that was transferred to Kuning Garment Factory to take a look. The people here had already been filled up. Because it was a new workshop, there would be more problems. Zhao Zhigang transferred Kaidi to this workshop as a supervisor. When he saw Zhang Chen, Kaidi complained to him and said, use me like a nanny, and move me wherever it is difficult. Jiang Chen laughed and said, I can't control that. It's your housework. Otherwise, don't let him go to bed. Go, I'm not that stupid. There are so many women in the factory and he is very popular. I won't let him go home. He is eager to go home, Kaidi scolded. Jiang Chen went back with a big smile. Wu Ziyawei saw Jiang Chen and Wei Venfang off and arrived at the gate of the city government compound before 2:30. Jiang Chen felt that it would be rude to go too early. Maybe they were talking about something right now. Jiang Chen didn't get out of the car, so he took out a copy of the planning document and read it again before handing it to Wei Venfang. At 2:45, Jiang Chen got off the car with Wei Venfang. After checking in at the door, he went in and walked to the door of room 105. Jiang Chen looked at his watch. It was already 2:50. This time was just right. Jiang Chen knocked on the door. Come in, Director Lu called. Jiang Chen pushed the door open and saw a person sitting on the sofa inside. Director Lu did not sit on the sofa, but pulled up a chair and sat opposite the person. It seemed that he was not being polite when he said he didn't like sitting on the sofa. When they came in, Director Lu and the other person also stood up. Director Lu introduced to Jiang Chen that this was the building director of the Xiakan District City Appearance Office. Jiang Chen thought to himself that they must have been talking about other things just now, and it seemed that he was still early. Director Lu introduced Jiang Chen to Director Lu. After the introduction, he looked at Wei Venfang. Jiang Chen quickly introduced them to them. Wei Venfang nodded to them with a smile and said, Hello, Director Lu. Hello, Director Lu. Director Lu gave up the three-person sofa he was sitting on and went to sit on the single sofa on the side. Director Lu asked Jiang Chen and Wei Venfang to sit while looking at the renderings in Jiang Chen's hand. Is this your plan? Director Lu asked. Jiang Chen said yes and quickly handed the rendering to Director Lu. Director Lu held it in both hands and looked at it carefully. Director Lu also stood up and came over to take a look. Director Lu told him, Did you see that? I'm right. Once Mr. Zhang and the others take action, the quality will not be low. Their half-acre field is already the highlight of Yan'an Road. This, dynamic zone, isn't it, will it also become the highlight of Stadium Road? Director Lu kept nodding and said, Not bad, Mr. Zhang, which designer did you hire? This was designed by our Mr. Zhang himself, Wei Venfang said. Director Lu was surprised. Director Lu smiled and said, I didn't expect that the store on Yan'an Road was also designed by Mr. Zhang himself. I didn't expect that. Director Lu kept nodding. Jiang Chen watched secretly amused, thinking to himself, this director of the building is really strange. After talking about things, he saw that Director Lu had other things to talk about, but he didn't leave and still came in like this. It seemed like it had something to do with him. It seems like there is some relationship. Jiang Chen quietly looked at his watch. It was already past 3 o'clock. No one from the Planning Bureau and Urban Construction Bureau came. It seemed that he had made a mistake. Wei Venfang opened the folder in her hand, took out the planning document, and told Director Lu that this is our planning document and asked Director Lu to read it. Director Lu took it and looked at it with great interest. While looking at it, he praised, Okay, Mr. Zhang, your idea of a sports goods street is good. It is really suitable to put it there. After reading it, he gave the plan to the director of the building and told him, Look, it's really good to liberate your mind a little more. It's such a good idea. The provincial gymnasium occupies the right time and place, but why didn't you think of it? It made Mr. Zhang think that this section of Stadium Road is really going to be lively. Director Lu took the plan and read it carefully. After reading it, he nodded to Director Lu and said, Director Lu is right, this plan is really good. So, is this settled? Director Lu asked. Okay, you, the senior director, have decided. What else can I, the junior director, say? Director Lu said. Director Lu looked at Zhang Chen and said, "You heard it, Mr. Zhang, your matter has been resolved. I told you yesterday that it is a good thing. All departments of our government will definitely support it." Zhang Chen was puzzled and asked, "Director Lu, are you saying that the flower bed outside can be demolished? Didn't Director Lu promise you? He will tell you what the specific procedures are." Zhang Chen and Wei Wenfang were both surprised. It turned out that the building director was the one who came to solve this problem. Zhang Chen asked strangely, "This does not need to go through the Planning Bureau and the Urban Construction Bureau?" Director Lu and Director Lu were both stunned for a moment, then laughed. Director Lu said, "What does it have to do with the Planning Bureau and the Urban Construction Bureau if we demolish a few roadside flower beds? But, I went to the Urban Construction Bureau and the Planning Bureau yesterday, and they told me that this one didn't have documents and that one didn't have documents." Wei Wenfang was also surprised. Both directors laughed, and Director Lu said, "Oh, Lao Lu, you can't blame the masses. Look at our departments, aren't we talking nonsense? It's obviously not our own business, but we still have to give directions." Director Lu also smiled and said, "Yes. Old Lu, please talk to Mr. Zhang and the others about what to do next." Director Lu waved his hand. Director Lu and Zhang Chen and Wei Wenfang said that this planning document is already very complete. They will provide us with a copy for filing. The renderings are not required to be like this, but should be archivable. It should be smaller, as big as 2 or 4 sheets of paper. In addition, provide a floor plan of the entire building in your renovation plan, including how many doors need to be opened, the width of each door, etc., all drawn clearly, and a copy of the real estate certificate and land certificate. The parcel map in the land certificate must be copied clearly. Zhang Chen kept nodding, and Wei Wenfang took notes with a pen and notebook. Director Lu asked, "Is it Xiao Wei who is actually handling this matter?" Zhang Chen is right. Director Lu and Wei Wenfang said, "You bring these things and the official seal and come to the office to see me tomorrow. I also need you to fill in a form. Then we will draw up a list of things that can be provided to you based on your needs and the actual situation on site. It's a borrowed public area, so that's fine. As for the flower bed, we can demolish it even if you want." "Is this good?" Wei Wenfang asked Director Lu. "Is it that simple?" "Yes, how complicated do you think it is? Nowadays, we are encouraging people to break down walls to open shops and prosper markets. We also go to the units and individuals along the street to mobilize them to do this. If you have this initiative yourself, that is the best. We are sure we will provide strong support," Director Lu said. Wei Wenfang made a face and smiled. Zhang Chen remembered something and asked, "By the way, Director Lu, when we opened the Yan'an Road store, we didn't know anything. Why didn't anyone come to tell us that we need to go to your place to go through the procedures?" Director Lu looked at Director Lu and said with a smile, "Look, Director, Mr. Zhang is complaining to you, saying that we didn't do anything." Zhang Chen quickly argued, No. I'm just kidding. That's it. In your Yan'an Road store, the open space from the entrance of your store to the flower bed belongs to you. Do you know that?" Zhang Chen scratched his head, "I really don't know about this. You are constructing within your own land and it has not changed the status quo. Of course we cannot control it. This does not involve public land, so we need to approve it." Director Lu touched the planning book on the coffee table with his fingers, and Zhang Chen understood. "However, your Yan'an Road store is not without its violations." Director Lu changed the subject and told Zhang Chen. "Ah," Zhang Chen was surprised. "You installed so many lights in the flower bed at the door and on the trees. According to the regulations, it is not allowed. The following also reported it to me. One night, I even went to see it. After seeing it, I felt, very good, so I didn't ask them to send you a rectification notice. There is such a thing, but I don't know about it at all. Zhang Chen chuckled. I can't help it. Who gave you such a whimsical idea? Director Lu said. If I take down your lights, my wife will scold me to death. She went to see it with me that night. She liked it very much. Not just your lover, the whole Hangzhou will scold you to death. When Director Lu said this, he seemed to be angry and continued to curse. They will call you an old-time bumpkin, stubborn and not liberated at all. This city is meant to be colorful. Where can it be the same? Can you let KFC be the same as the Industrial and Commercial Bank of China? That other company, how can the characteristics and culture be reflected? It is a century-old store. Do you think the stores of Hu Qingyutang and Zhang Xiaoquan will be the same? Yes, yes, otherwise I won't be able to bear it if you wear the title of chief director, Director Lu said, and everyone laughed. The next day, Wei Venfang went to the building director to complete the formalities. The maintenance team, which had just been withdrawn to Sanbeo for a few days, came over again. Zhang Chen asked them to first repair the large passage room on the third floor of the factory building and the row of windows at the back. 8 small offices were separated. There is an office of its own there, as well as the factory office, production department, sales department, and finance department. Next to the finance department, there is an office for Xiao Zhao. Now there are 3 finance departments in 3 places, and the general manager is still the junior one. Zhao. Outside this row of offices is a large office area. After the renovation was completed, the office building here was vacated and the design center was moved from Sanbeo. Then they began to renovate the office building. While the project was still in progress, Zhang Chen placed an investment advertisement in the Jianzhong Evening News. The first person to visit was the general agent of the German Puma company in Zhejiang. It only took more than a week since the advertisement was posted, and the 12 shops were quickly rented out, including the rooms on the 3rd floor. Zhao Jingjing calculated that there would be a monthly rent income of 38,200 yuan. Zhao Jingjing and accountant Li said privately that the factory had never thought of such a good idea. If they had thought of it, life in the factory would not be so difficult. Accountant Li said, there is no way, they just made smart money, and if the renovation money is spent, the store may or may not be rented. If it cannot be rented, who will bear the responsibility? Isn't this adding insult to injury? Besides, the factory can't even get the money for reconstruction. It has no money, and it's still difficult to move forward. Zhao Jingjing thought about what accountant Li said. She said that according to Lao Zhao's stubbornness, the store he wanted to build would definitely not be rentable. That's why people don't dare to do it, accountant Li said. Zhang Chen stood on the sidewalk of Stadium Road and looked at the dynamic zone that was about to be completed. He breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed that he had taken the right step again. The income from the rent should be able to offset all the retired workers in the factory every month. The salary and medical expenses were reimbursed. Thank you to the Dingli Blade of the country, the Prosperous Farce, and Qian Dad for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Xiniang. Chapter 669. Tan Shahen rehearses plays in the theater troupe every day, and goes to the dance hall of the cultural center to perform in the evening. The plays are almost rehearsed, so she simply takes out time in the afternoon to go to the cultural center to learn new songs from teacher Shi. Every night in the song and dance hall, there are a group of regular customers. They are Tan Shahen herself was embarrassed to come to see Tan Shahen. She only sang a few songs every night. Fortunately, although these people came for Tan Shahen, The situation like that night when someone came up to her and talked crazy did not happen again. All kinds of news spread quickly in a small place, and everyone knew it. Tan Shahen is Xiao's wife, so she doesn't dare to be disturbed. However, there was an owner of a chemical factory in the town below who had made some money in the past few years. He was brought to this dance hall by a friend that day. After seeing Tan Shahen, he couldn't pull his eyes out and couldn't bear to part with her anymore. He simply booked a room in a hotel in Yongcheng County, lived here every day, and went to the dance hall every night. When he came back from the dance hall, every time he came back from the dance hall, he would imagine the woman underneath him in the darkness as Tan Shahen. To continue. It's really unbearable, and Tan Shahen is not a very human person. She smiles when you are polite, but if your words are a little rude, she will immediately frown, and it is really difficult to get close to you. The boss went through friends of friends, and finally sat down in Teacher Shi's office. The boss and Teacher Shi had a heart-to-heart, and almost burst into tears. He expressed his admiration for Tan Shahen and hoped that Teacher Shi would help her. Teacher Shi felt a wave of nausea in her heart, but she still thought, "Are you thinking of yourself as Ximen Qing and me as Wang Po?" She looked at the other person and asked nakedly, "What do you want to do? Do you want to get her into bed?" The other party chuckled, his mouth was a little crooked, and his mouth was almost dripping with laughter. He finally admitted that he meant this. "Damn, men like women. Don't they want that in the end?" "That's understandable," Teacher Shi nodded, "but do you know who Tan Shahen's previous boyfriend was?" "Who is it?" the boss asked disdainfully, thinking, in this Yongcheng County, who am I afraid of, who the hell is richer than me? "Lulapole," Teacher Shi said calmly. The boss was stunned for a moment, stood up and said goodbye. He returned to the hotel and checked out. He knew Lu Ligan and had even written the legend of the king for him. At that time, his mouth had just been blown out of shape. Lu Ligan's current reputation is even more famous. How could he not know that although he is just an ex-boyfriend, a hair of his dick is thicker than his waist? Of course, the woman Lu Ligan has had sex with is, no one who has seen the world can think highly of himself. The chemical king still has this bit of self-awareness. Although there are only 2 small plays being rehearsed in the troupe, and the total time on stage is only 20 minutes, but because it is performed on such an important stage of the art festival, I dare not neglect it. The small troupe does not have any AB roles, but still according to the old rules, Tan Shahen will star and Suji and I will also prepare for the role. This way, if Tan Shahen has any accidents, such as catching a cold and being unable to make a sound, Suji and I can take over. One of the 2 short plays this time is based on the story of an old leader from Yongcheng in the capital. It's adapted, so it's even more important. When Tan Shahen played the leading role, according to the troupe's past practice, Suji and I played the supporting role. Suji and I had a nickname in the troupe, called Manertou. This Manertou is a local saying in Yongcheng, which refers to those who are not a biological child, but a child brought in for adoption, similar to the one born by the stepmother, and not welcomed anyway. This is actually to laugh at how thankless Suji and I is every time. She spends time and energy rehearsing the role of the protagonist, but in the end it is often not used and she still plays a supporting role on stage. At first, when someone called Suji and I that, Suji and I would get angry, but as time went by, she would not take it seriously and accept it. That's the truth anyway. Suji and I admitted it on the surface, but she was still dissatisfied in her heart. Every time she rehearsed the role of the protagonist, she was still very serious, thinking that one day she could stand out and truly be the protagonist. When Tan Shahen went to the cultural center in the afternoon, the rehearsals in the theater troupe did not stop. Teacher Li asked Suji and I to replace Tan Shahen and rehearse the lead role, with Xiang playing the supporting role. In Teacher Li's mind, this was an emergency alternative. There is still 1 week left before the art festival. As the Executive Deputy Director of the Art Festival Preparatory Committee Office, Deputy Director of the Yongcheng County Cultural Bureau, and Director of the Yongcheng Wu Opera Troupe, Ding Begu once again came to the office of the Wu Opera Troupe. Although since his heart-to-heart talk with Su Jianmei went from public to underground, from the troupe to his home, Director Ding did not come to the troupe for more than half a month due to his busy work. He came today to discuss with Feng Logui and Teacher Li and confirm the performance of the art festival. After sitting down, Teacher Li reported to Ding Begu the rehearsal status of the troupe's 2 new plays. Ding Begu said, "It's really not easy for Tan Shahen. She has to take the lead this time. I heard the comrades from the Cultural Center report to me, saying it was Tan Shahen's recent solo performance at the Cultural Center, which received a very good response and was very popular with the masses. Tan Shahen's performance in the Song and Dance Hall was very popular." Teacher Li and Feng Logui certainly knew about it. Teacher Li smiled and said, "There is no way, the condition of my voice is there, and it is at that level as soon as I open my mouth. Of course, but we can't put all the burden on her alone. In one performance, she has to act and sing solo. Will it be too much pressure?" Ding Begu asked. "No problem," Teacher Li said. "But we still have to be prepared. We are already prepared. If Tan Shahen can't stand it, Su Jianmei is also preparing for these 2 plays," Teacher Li said. Ding Begu and Teacher Li were talking about Tan Shahen, and Feng Logui could only listen on the side. He didn't feel good about what he said. "Teacher Li, Captain Feng, I was wondering if we could change our thinking. The highlight of this arts festival is still the female solo. As you know, the county invited Donghua this time. Word has spread throughout Yongcheng, and they all want to see what will happen when Tan Shahen and Donghua compete. Have you heard such a statement?" "Of course I heard it," Teacher Li smiled. "In my opinion, there is a competition." "Haha, isn't it? Lao Li, when you say this, I am even more interested. To be honest, not only the common people, but also the directors of our cultural bureau and the leaders of the county, who doesn't have this idea in mind. It's just hard to say, that's all." Ding Begu smiled and continued, "Although Donghua is a well-known singer in the country and a guest from far away, we can't let her underestimate us in Yongcheng. Let her know that in our mountains and valleys, too, there's a golden phoenix, right?" Teacher Li and Feng Logui both laughed. Ding Begu looked at Feng Logui and asked, "Come on, Xiao Feng, tell me, is Tan Shahen herself holding her breath?" Feng Logui shook his head. "How do I know this?" "Is it because I don't know or it's hard to tell?" Ding Begu asked. The 3 people looked at each other and laughed. Teacher Li said, "My students, I know that if you don't hold your breath, then this Tan Shahen will not be Tan Shahen. Okay, what Lao Li said is right, just to have such a breath. So what if you are a big star, put it on a stage, whether it is a donkey or a horse, it is really not sure who is higher and who is lower. When this shot and this picture are broadcast on TV, who in the city or province will not know that we have Tan Shahen who can rival Donghua?" When Ding Begu said this, his eyes looked at Teacher Li and Feng Logui from time to time. Feng Logui was a little shy, and Teacher Li kept nodding. Ding Begu said, "We just want to encourage this momentum. Lao Li and Xiao Feng have a rare opportunity. In my opinion, we must treat this art festival as a race and let Tan Shahen concentrate her efforts to sprint." Teacher Li and Feng Logui both looked at Ding Begu and felt that there was something in his words, but they didn't know what he meant. "What do you think?" Ding Begu asked. "What do you mean?" Teacher Li asked. "What I mean is very simple, that is, Lao Li, who has prepared for the 2 plays you just said in this troupe. What is their name?" "Xiang," Ding Begu asked. "Su Jianmei." "Oh, that's right, Su Jianmei, look at it, I just can't remember the name, I just remember Tan Shahen," Ding Begu said with a smile. "What I mean is this, Let Tan Shahen go all out for solo singing. This person in the group let Suji and me star in the drama. Teacher Lee's heart skipped a beat and blurted out, it's not good. What's wrong? Ding Begu asked. Teacher Lee wants to say that Tan Shahen is ready, but this seems inappropriate. Tan Shahen is ready, but Suji and me is not ready. This Xiaoqing is going to play by Shahen. No one in the group knows it, and they have been preparing for it for several years. What, Lao Li, do you think Suji and me can't stand up? Ding Begu asked again. Teacher Lee couldn't say this even more. Although when rehearsing any play, the first star that comes to mind is Tan Shahen. Tan Shahen is his student, but Suji and me is also his student. Although the Suji and me always makes people feel so bad. A little bit of heat, sometimes when Teacher Lee looks at her, he wants to go up and kick her to kick out the heat, but it would be wrong to say that Suji and me doesn't work hard. Although Teacher Lee has a strong idea in his heart, if he is asked to tell who is better and who is worse among his two students, especially to praise one student and belittle the other, Teacher Lee will never be able to do such a thing. Teacher Lee looked at Feng Logui opposite. Feng Logui lowered his head. At this moment, he felt even more that he should not interfere in this matter. He was still counting on Teacher Lee, but how could he know Teacher Lee's difficulties? Lao Li, just tell me, if Suji and me is allowed to appear in these two plays, can she sing it? Ding Begu asked. Of course you can sing it, Teacher Lee said. Then let's end it. The two pillars of our troupe, one Tan Shahen, let her go all out to prepare for her solo to challenge Donghua, and let Suji and me perform these two plays. And I think, this Suji and me will be a millionaire if something happens to Tan Shahen, she can still protect her. But if something happens to Tan Shahen, no one can protect her. We must protect Tan Shahen. Teacher Lee thought to himself, when did the Wu opera troupe have two pillars, and when did Suji and me become the pillar of the Wu opera troupe again? But he couldn't just say no to Ding Begu. And what Ding Begu said sounded so reasonable and could be heard everywhere. Do you think this is what I mean? Does what I say make sense? Lao Li, please tell me, Ding Begu chased after him. Teacher Lee nodded and shook his head, that's what I said, but... Xiao Feng, you are the deputy leader. Do what you say make sense? Ding Begu looked at Feng Logui and asked. Feng Logui glanced at Deputy Director Ding and lowered his head, but he still nodded. Teacher Lee looked at Feng Logui and saw him nodding. He was so angry that he wanted to kick him, but the two group leaders agreed. What else could he say? Even after so many years, give Suji and me a chance to come forward. Teacher Lee thought and sighed. Ding Begu sat with his legs spread. He patted his thigh lightly and said, okay, then this matter is settled. By the way, tomorrow we will send the program list to the printing factory for printing. This program, it's up to me to change the names on the list. Teacher Lee wanted to say something else, but he looked at Ding Begu and Feng Logui and finally said nothing. From the practice room at the back, Suji and Mi's melodious voice came. Thank you to Laughing and Running Y for the tip. Thank you for your monthly pass. Thank you for all the votes and reading. Good evening, everybody. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 670. The evening rehearsal ended at almost 10 o'clock. This night, I don't know if it was Feng Logui's psychological effect. He always felt that Suji and me knew about this. She was in high spirits throughout the night, rehearsing a scene with him. At this time, Feng Logui felt that her eyes were more lively than usual, and she seemed to be more beautiful than usual. Logically speaking, it was impossible. They discussed this matter in the afternoon. After the discussion, Feng Logui gave Ding Begu a gift. He watched him push the bicycle to the bottom of the slope, and stepped on the bicycle pedal with his left foot. He put on his right leg and rode away. At that time, Suji and Mei had already joined the regiment and never left. Even if she was not in the regiment, she would not be able to go to the Cultural Bureau. She had a chance to meet Director Ding, and they were not familiar with each other. During a break in rehearsals, Feng Logui was standing there drinking water. Suji and Mei came over, touched Feng Logui's arm with her arm, and asked with concern, "Logui, what's wrong with you? Are you not feeling well today?" Feng Logui himself also felt that he was uneasy this night. "It's nothing, I'm probably too tired these days," Feng Logui said. Tan Shahen went to the cultural center again. Feng Logui said, Tan Shahen is very popular now. I heard that many people go to the dance hall of the cultural center every day just to see Tan Shahen." Feng Logui frowned. Suji and Mei felt it and quickly changed the topic. "Yesterday you and Xiao Wu went to Zhang Chen's place. I heard that Zhang Chen sponsored the group for 50,000 yuan. Is it true?" Feng Logui said with a smile, "This is still fake, the money has already arrived. You are still very powerful, you kept silent, and you got 50,000 yuan at once. Look at this county, it only took a few years to give 100,000 yuan. It seems like a big deal. I didn't do it to Zhang Chen. Before we even exchanged a few words, he said it himself, or I would sponsor the troop for 50,000 yuan. Alas, this person who left the troop still has feelings for the troop." Suji and Mei sighed. Her sigh made Feng Logui think that the person who left the troop was also talking about Lu Ligan. "Okay, let's start, do it again." Teacher Li clapped his hands. Suji and Mei touched Feng Logui's arm with her arm again and smiled charmingly. "Let's go, sir." In this play, Feng Logui plays the husband-in-law and Suji and Mei plays his wife. It is a so-called new light-hearted and humorous costume play written by Lao Meng of the Federation of Literary and Art Circles. The so-called humor means mixing some modern words into the costume play. Here, the husband and wife make jokes. For example, the wife will say, "Oh, husband, I will go to the refrigerator and bring you a bowl of sour plum soup to cure your jealousy." This is all a humming mess, it might as well be a reflection of the old leader. Teacher Li has probably been out in the society a lot in the past 2 years, and he still likes this, saying that if it is not like this, the following will be quiet, but it is lively anyway. Lively. Xiao Wu's show was the most lively. They used all the martial arts students in the troupe as acrobats, and when they all expected Xiao Wu to do somersaults, the audience followed and counted loudly, 31, 32, 33. After coming down from Jiaofang, Feng Logui looked at the triangular night sky above his head, cut out by the dark mountains on both sides, and sighed. The street light at the intersection was broken again, and the road leading into the valley was pitch black. The further Feng Logui walked in, the heavier he felt. What he was thinking about was the list. He replaced Tan Shahen with Suji and Mei. He knew this Tan Shahen couldn't accept it easily, but she was even less likely to go somewhere and make a fuss, so she didn't bother to do so. She would feel that if this was the case, she would be on the same level as Suji and Mei, and she would have to compete with Suji and Mei. She wouldn't do it. Tan Shahen and Suji and Mei grew up in the same student class, and they had no conflicts and often played together. However, everyone in the group knew that Tan Shahen looked down on Suji and Mei from the bottom of her heart, although she always deliberately did not let this kind of look down on her. She showed it, but the more she concealed it, the more others could see her contempt. From childhood to adulthood, looking down on me has become their habit. If you look down on me, then look down on me. Suji and Mei also sneered at the side. What she is looking forward to is, let's see, there will always be a day when I look down on you. Otherwise, Suji and Mei, would not be Suji and Mei. Feng Logui knew that Tan Shahen would not make a fuss. She would even act like she didn't care about it outside. But in fact, she did care about it. She would care about it. In his heart, he thought of it as nameless fire, and would take it out from time to stab Feng Logui. They don't even know how to quarrel. If they quarrel, Tan Shuhen will feel, Logui, I think highly of you too much. Feng Logui knows that although they have been married for several years until their daughter was born, she is still in Tan Shuhen's heart. Status has never changed. Even when they were doing that, Tan Shuhen didn't say a word, just lying there silently. Sometimes Feng Logui had been working hard for a long time, and Tan Shuhen would reach for his watch, look at it, and say to him, Lao Gui, go to sleep. Over time, it is not good for the body. As soon as she turned over, Tan Shuhen fell asleep. Feng Logui felt that no matter what happened, he should tell Tan Shuhen about it today so that she could be mentally prepared. Feng Logui walked downstairs to the Yu Opera Troupe. Most of the residents in this building were from the Lao Yu Opera Troupe. People in the troupe had to get up before dawn to practice Kung Fu, so they developed the habit of going to bed early and getting up early, especially to those old people. In the whole building, only 2 or 3 lights were on, and the rest was completely dark, including his own room, which was definitely dark. Their room is on the 2nd floor. The Yu Opera Troupe's house is almost a twin brother of the Wu Opera Troupe's house. The layout is exactly the same, but the Yu Opera Troupe's house was built a few years later than the Wu Opera Troupe's, so it is better than the Wu Opera Troupe's. It has toilets and washrooms in its building. There are 2 rooms at the west end of each floor. On the right is the collective washroom with 4 faucets. Everyone on this floor washes their faces, brushes their teeth, does laundry, vegetables, dishes, and pots. Opposite the washroom is public restrooms, regardless of gender, have the door open when no one is using it. When someone is using it, just go in and lock the door pin. In a bathroom like this, you have to do everything quickly, otherwise if you squat for a long time, someone will knock on the door, and sometimes there will be more than one person at the door. The lights in the foyer on the 1st floor were dark. Feng Logui walked in and pressed the switch, but there was no response at all. Feng Logui looked up and saw that it was not the lights that were broken, but some evil spirit who was in his room. The light bulb is broken. Run down and turn the light bulb here away. Feng Logui shook his head and walked upstairs in the dark. The lights at the stairwells and corridors on the 2nd floor, and the lights at every stairwell and corridor in this building, were either broken or had no light bulbs. Otherwise, the guy wouldn't use them. So hard, I ran to the 1st floor to pick out light bulbs. The lights at the stairwell and corridor were broken, but everyone could tolerate it. If the light on the 1st floor was taken off, this guy would definitely be scolded behind his back, because the light on the 1st floor is not just for the foyer on the 1st floor. Come to the light, it also illuminates the yard outside, and brings a little light to the road in. Feng Logui walked into his room, turned on the light, found a light bulb from the cabinet, took a flashlight and a square stool, and when he went out, he pressed another switch next to the door and installed a switch on their doorframe. A lamp came on, illuminating the entire corridor. This was the idea that the lighting and electrician of the troupe helped him come up with when they were decorating their new house. The lights in the corridor were unreliable, so they installed one themselves. The switch was in the room, and they could turn it off and on as they pleased, and they also paid their own electricity bill. Feng Logui went downstairs and stood on a square stool. He held a flashlight in one hand and a light bulb in the other. He inserted the light bulb into the screw of the lamp head and turned it clockwise. After turning it twice, the light turned on. Feng Logui continued to tighten the light bulb, then got off the square stool and went upstairs. When he returned to the room, his daughter was not there and the room was quiet. Feng Logui took the dental cup and wash basin and went to the bathroom to brush his teeth and wash his face. After washing, he came back and turned off the lights in the room and corridor. He stood in front of the window and looked through the window. Looking outside through the window screen, the street light at the entrance was broken, and even if Tan Shuhen came back, she could not be seen from here. As for Tan Shahen, it seems that she comes back later and later every day. At this time, she must still be in the dance hall. Tan Shahen is very popular now. I heard that many people go to the dance hall of the cultural center every day just to see Tan Shahen. Feng Logui thought of what Su Jianmei said and frowned again. He walked to the bed and sat down, and decided that when Tan Shahen came back today, he would tell her about it no matter what. Thinking of talking to Tan Shahen about this, Feng Logui felt subconsciously afraid and his scalp became tight. Feng Logui took off his coat and pants, lay down on the bed, and stared blankly at the ceiling above his head. After getting used to the darkness, the ceiling and everything in the room emerged from the darkness. He saw a piece of plaster on the ceiling that had peeled off at some point. He saw their wedding photos hanging on the wall. Tan Shahen's face was also cold in the darkness. He remembered that when this photo was taken, the master of the photo studio kept telling them to smile, come on, smile, marriage is about being happy. But Tan Shahen never smiled. The photographer was helpless and finally clicked the shutter button. Feng Logui looked at his watch. It was already past 11 o'clock. He knew it was still early for Tan Shahen to come back. Feng Logui sat up, walked to the table, got himself a glass of cold water, and drank while standing in front of the window. In the darkness not far away, there was a star of light shining in the darkness. It was a firefly. Feng Logui thought about how he should tell Tan Shahen when she came back. Should he tell her when she came back, or wait until she finished washing and went to bed before telling her? Alas, no matter what time I tell her, the result is the same. Feng Logui sighed. He regretted it now. In the afternoon, when Ding Begu proposed this suggestion, he should have opposed it. If only he had the courage to object at that time, that would be great. He felt that as long as he objected, Teacher Li would I will definitely object. Feng Logui sighed again, returned to the bed, and continued to stare blankly at the ceiling above his head, thinking blankly. He looked at his watch. It was already past 12 o'clock, and Tan Shahen still hadn't come back. Tan Shahen is very popular now. I heard that many people go to the dance hall of the cultural center every day just to see Tan Shahen. Feng Logui thought of Su Jianmei's words again, and he felt a little humming disgusted. It was almost 2 o'clock, and Feng Logui heard the sound of a motorcycle coming from outside the valley. It was Tan Shahen who was back, and it was the saxophone player who sent her back. Feng Logui imagined Tan Shahen sitting on the back seat of a motorcycle, holding her slightly black waist with her hands. Her face was not cold, but probably very excited. Originally, Feng Logui would turn on the light at the door at this time, but for some reason today, he was lying there, too lazy to move. He heard the motorcycle stall downstairs, and he heard them whispering something, but he couldn't hear clearly. He heard a little crow call goodbye. He heard Tan Shahen smile and say, "See you soon." This laughter is colorful, splashing out with a bang, colorful, bright and eye-catching. Tan Shahen's laughter is very happy, even a little excited. Feng Logui felt nervous. When she and Feng Logui were together, they rarely had such colorful laughter. They were always polite, light, and respectful. Feng Logui heard Tan Shahen going upstairs and said ha when he heard her walking to the stairs. He was wondering why the light at the door of his house was not on. Feng Logui heard the sound of her door opening, and he felt as if he had smelled the smell of alcohol on her body. Tan Shahen did not drink, but she would smell of alcohol every day when she came back. Feng Logui turned over and took advantage of the moment when the lights in the room were not on. He decided that he had fallen asleep and decided not to say anything to Tan Shahen today.